Welcome to episode 74 of Central Intelligence Cinema. Today we're grabbing a burn bag full of currency and passports and headed to Paris as we review 2002's The Bourne Identity. But before I get amnesia and forget the line, take it away, Pierce.
Beg your pardon, forgot to knock.
Welcome to the CIC, initiating security clearance.
My name is Napoleon Solo. Bond. James Bond.
Natasha Romanoff.
Ethan Hunt.
Felix Leiter.
Elsa Faust. Identity confirmed.
Now, pay attention, 007.
Welcome to Central Intelligence Cinema, a podcast dedicated to spy movies and secret agent pop culture.
Your mission, should you decide to accept it.
Do you expect me to talk?
I'm in the middle of an interrogation. This moron is giving me everything.
Yeah, baby!
Special agent, you're not having a very special day, are you?
But remember, nothing ever goes according to plan.
Tom, what do you think you're doing?
Keeping the British hand up, sir. The state will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Recording from an undisclosed location, easily found by embedding a cat toy in your leg, it's a Central Intelligence Cinema podcast. I'm Jason Greenberg, and with me, as always, Ben Esslinger.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jason. And welcome back to the CIC, the spy movie podcast that asks the question, can you really use a dead man's body to get a magic carpet ride down 6 floors and then use it as a crash pad to break your fall?
Does do that.
It does do that. But yeah, we're back. Welcome back to the CIC. We are here to with our next big adventure here. Because we're starting in on a big adventure here.
We really are.
This is part 1 of what is this, 5?
Of 5, yeah.
Of 5,
it's sort of like maybe not the road to reckoning.
No, there's
but
no
it's
road.
maybe the trail to Bourning, the trail of Bourning.
Well, it's something like that. I mean, one thing's for sure, Jason. We're born again.
Oh, I'm sorry I suggested that yesterday. I really am now.
Oh, that's been in the back of my head for a while. I couldn't help myself. I had to say it.
Oh my God. It's better than my joke, at least.
But yes, we are back and we are here to discuss today the Bourne Identity. Yeah.
Not to be confused with the Bourne Supremacy, the Bourne Legacy, what's the other one? The Bourne Supremacy.
The Bourne Supremacy.
And of course, just Jason Bourne.
Yes.
That one's pretty easy to know that it's not part of it's part of the other ones, but it's different than the other
but we're starting at the beginning.
We're starting at the beginning.
We're kicking it linear.
We're not doing this like Christopher Nolan style.
Yeah.
Where we're just going to start
this
with
isn't a Tarantino thing.
No.
This is just straight from the start to finish.
Start to finish, unless, of course, some streaming service won't show it to us, in which case maybe we have to punt. But otherwise...
I can lend you the Blu-ray. It's fine.
I've got them on digital. I mean, it's not like we can't. I was just trying to poke some fun with the tens of listeners.
I get it.
Every so often we want to have a little bit of fun with the tens of listeners. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, the Bourne Identity. That's where we're headed, kids. Should be a good time. Should we just jump into this sucker?
Yeah, there's a bit to chat about, so let's just get right into it.
Quite a bit.
He has the skills.
You, stop right there!
Of a dangerous man.
I need to know what went wrong.
I think he snapped.
But he has no memory.
We don't take care of this, we will both burn.
It's trained, conditioned, built to disappear.
I'll give you $10,000 to drive me to Paris.
I get the money, and I don't get hurt.
That's the deal.
Now, the government's top agent.
I can't remember anything that happened before 2 weeks ago.
Amnesia?
Yes.
Is about to become their #1 target.
What's in Paris?
It's a name, Jason Bourne.
And the only way he can survive
Talk a lot.
is to find out who he is before they find out
Get the address? I think I got it.
where he is.
Get everybody up. I want them all activated.
Do it now!
Based on the international bestseller, The Bourne Identity.
Okay, The Bourne Identity, the first installment of the Bourne series, released in 2002, directed by Doug Liman, who has done a wide variety of movies, Swingers, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Jumper, The Edge of Tomorrow, and American Made, and then the TV version of The Recruit, just to name a few. This guy is an interesting character. the more that I learned about him, the more that I realized this is one of these creative geniuses who is probably one of the biggest pains in the ass to work with ever. Because the man knows how to make good movies.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything you just listed, with the possible exception of Jumper, is a pretty solid film in its own right.
The Edge of Tomorrow is one of my favorite movies now.
I do enjoy me a little bit of, shall we say, yoga calisthenics.
That's a nice little moment in that movie.
But no, the whole premise is great. Plus, you get that performance from Bill Paxton in it.
Yeah. Lyman went on to also executive produce the sequels to the series, with the exception of The Bourne Legacy, which doesn't surprise me, given that his relationship with Tony Gilroy was not a great relationship. It was very bristly.
Well, one could also say that probably Tony Gilroy is very much like Doug Liman in terms of what he produces and being kind of persnickety to work with.
That's what I've also read. Well, it's interesting, too. You get these auteurs and people who have very channeled creative visions.
Yes.
And those are the people that tend to they don't want to give up their position on how they feel about a certain creative direction going one way or another.
Right.
And so that's how those people operate, and it's just one of those things that you're gonna have a lot of conversations, shall we say, when you're working with people like that, and you have to be very diplomatic. But to continue, Alexander Witt, who was a frequent collaborator with Ridley Scott, was the second unit director on this and was primarily responsible for that excellent car chase sequence about halfway into it. And a fun story about that, at the same time that was being filmed, Lyman was shooting the primary story arc somewhere else in the city, and the finished footage was edited together to have the illusion of like a coherent journey. But anyone who actually knows Paris well knows that it's completely manufactured, because often the locations don't line up to where they actually are in the city. So, and that's the thing about this movie just in general. This movie is constructed about as close to unscripted reality as you could do for a movie. And I'm like, where was I in 2002? I could have worked on this. I could have been the editor for this movie. But Doug Liman, if you need an editor, I'm just saying, I'm right here.
He's available.
Any creative whim, any editorial whim, I will go down that path with you, sir.
I'll even go so far as to say Tony Gilroy, same thing.
Yes.
Especially if you need work on Andor.
Yes.
Because, I mean, the guy you get may not look like Ben and may not know anything about actually editing anything, but he is a quick learner and can at least pretend to be Ben for the duration.
That's right.
Thank you. Sincerely, Ben.
That's right. In air quotes. But yeah, production for this movie was kind of a shit show, with Lyman and Tony Gilroy at odds with each other. And then they brought in executive producer Frank Marshall, and who kind of policed the situation and sometimes actually stepped in as a director of sorts.
You know who Frank Marshall is, right?
I actually don't.
Oh.
That's why you're here, though. Oh. You're here to educate me.
So Frank Marshall may have been the executive producer on, I think, the 4 Indiana Jones movies. I know the first 3.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Most of the Star Wars stuff for a long thing. Just about everything Spielberg made. And
so he knows his stuff.
So Frank Marshall, I don't think they are still married, but was married to Kathleen Kennedy.
Okay.
So they're basically they were basically Spielberg and Lucas's producers on a lot. So he also has directed a few things in his time. When I saw his name up there, I'm like, oh. Well, that's who you bring in when creative directors need to have a buffer with a studio. That's what happens.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other part of this that was sort of a shit show, was the fact that they were constantly bumping heads with the studio. He had to ask for more money because they went and did all these reshoots, and he insisted on getting the scene at the farmhouse, which I do think was worth it.
Absolutely. Every bit of that whole farmhouse scene
made the movie.
From getting there to the very end with Uncle Clive, the guy who should have been James Bond. Sorry, Danny. Yeah, that whole scene. I mean, I don't know if they'd say it made the movie, but it's certainly the best action sequence outside of the car chase in the entire film.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say all you want about parkour, hi-ya, realism, which all of that was.
Yes.
But that one whole scene, just the performances, and you felt a sense of actual danger.
Yeah.
And the camera loved the location. So everything about, from that fireball explosion, you're just like,
yeah,
woo, we're in for a ride, people.
Yeah. The Bourne Identity was initially a novel by Robert Ludlum that came out in 1980. Obviously, the first of a trilogy. Film adaptations began way back in 1981, but stalled after being passed to different distributors. And then in 88, we got the TV adaptation with Richard Chamberlain as Bourne, which I have never seen, and I'm a little scared to, but it is allegedly that one's much more faithful to the book.
Well, I think part of the problem with this adaptation was the time frame between when the book came out and the actual storyline compared to 20 some odd years later when it wasn't the same. There was no more Cold War. There was no more anything like that. But I'm sorry. I like Richard Chamberlain, and please, tens of listeners, if you love Richard Chamberlain, please don't take this personally, but to me, he's always been TV Roger Moore. He's just a pretty boy.
Yeah, that's accurate. In my book, right? That's accurate.
So, I mean, I've never read the original books, but I don't think Ludlum intended for Bourne to be a pretty boy.
No.
Because you can tell neither did Lyman, because none of the guys that are playing the assassins are really all that pretty.
Right.
You want them to blend. They have to blend.
Yeah.
That's why I never really bought Roger as James Bond. I mean, he's good with the ladies, but how does a guy that pretty blend in when he's trying to kill somebody?
Well, I mean, I feel like right from the jump with James Bond, Cubby came in and was like, no, we need to make this guy a sexy guy.
He needs to be sexy.
Exactly.
But I mean, there's Sean Connery sexy, and then there's Roger's sexy.
That's true. Those are two different sexies.
There's a Timothy Dalton sexy. And there's a Pierce Brosnan sexy.
They do. The pendulum does swing a bit in the Bond universe.
So we've got the Daniel sexy. So that means we're going to get a pretty boy next.
Probably.
That's how it has to go.
If we ever get another Bond movie, but we're not here to talk about that.
We aren't. Sorry. Sidetrack. It's almost as if I was trying to skid my Mini off of the side of a staircase or something.
Doug Liman was apparently a big fan of the book and attempted to revive the feature film project in 1996 and worked with Ludlum and David Self on the screenplay, before then adding Tony Gilroy to the mix, who made a number of changes to the script, as well as additions made by William Blake Heron. However, much of which was thrown out, except for the opening scene, because I guess Matt Damon disliked it so much that he was willing to quit if they kept it in.
Disliked all the extra stuff, that is.
Yeah, that Heron added in. Which is interesting. I'm trying to think of how much pull Matt Damon had in 2002, but he was about to go on to do Ocean's 11.
Well, he'd already had the Oscar for Good Will Hunting.
That's right.
He was.
He had some clout. He had the ability to throw his weight around a little bit and say, well, I'm not going to do that.
They put him in this movie despite being against type for the person you would put in a movie like this.
Yes.
Now, I know that was probably a directorial choice more than anything else, because like I said, I don't think he was written to be a pretty boy. So they got a more average-looking guy to play the role.
Well, they did initially want Brad Pitt. And Brad Pitt turned it down to do Spy Game.
Again, thank God. That was a better role for him.
It is a better role.
This would have been a terrible role for him.
Right, because
if you wanted to put somebody who looked like Brad Pitt in it, you would have had to get Guy Pearce, who's like, is it Guy Pearce? Who's budget, no, he's not TV Brad Pitt, but he's like budget Brad Pitt.
Yeah. I mean...
He's more rugged.
He's British. He's British.
He does American accents.
He's
fine.
British Brad Pitt. So
he's British Brad Pitt. He's Bradley Pitt.
Bradley Pitt.
Bradley Pitt.
And then it should also be mentioned that I had to bring this up, is that Carlos the Jackal was originally the antagonist at one point in Tony Gilroy's version, because that's straight from the book.
Right.
But that was then thrown out. I mean, this thing was written over and over and over again. The amount of rewrites on this movie was they were literally going Mission Impossible style with this, where they were rewriting scenes the night before they were supposed to shoot them. So,
right. Well, I can honestly say that as much as I would like to review yet another movie focusing on Carlos the Jackal and then being able to scale it on the porridge meter, whether or not it met our first initial one.
Porridge meter, yes.
Again, because the original one was written so long prior to when the movie came out, I don't feel like it was as relevant.
Yeah.
Now granted, that little miniseries with Day of the Jackal with Eddie Redmayne, pretty good, but super modernized based off of what the original stuff was.
Yeah.
And we won't talk about the Bruce Willis one, at least until we watch the Bruce Willis one, and then I have a lot to say.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they made the decision to kind of take the more late 70s, early 80s elements out of it, rather than trying to modernize that theme for a 21st century audience.
Right. Well, and you're not going to, at that point in time, in 2002, you're still not far enough away from the actual nonfiction version of Carlos the Jackal for you to spin it as this brand new thing that nobody's heard of. Like, there's still going to be a few people that have heard of him.
At least the people who saw The Assignment.
Right. But it's still too far away for enough people to remember who the original Carlos the Jackal was.
Right.
So you're in that fuzzy area where it doesn't make a lot of sense to introduce that character.
Yeah, well, and like I said, I think a lot of the original book was still very Cold War driven in terms of what was being done. And nobody cared about the Cold War anymore at that point, except for as referencing that there once was one in a current spy movie. Yeah. Remember back in the day when you knew who the bad guys were?
Yeah.
That kind of nonsense. And I think we talked about this when I did my first watching, when we were making the notes, how I kind of felt like this might be the very last old school spy movie.
Yeah.
Because Mission Impossible was ramping up to start changing the game of what that looked like.
Right.
Not 1 and 2 so much, but when we got to 3 and we really started going with that whole, okay, really kind of stuff that comes that I love in Mission Impossible, but it was a different kind of thing than James Bond with a gadget. It was kind of like, he's hanging off a what?
Yeah.
And so this one, the whole thing, from the Foley work, which was horrible in some scenes, but the way it was shot, the way it was paced, everything felt like a late 70s, mid 80s action thriller type of film. It didn't have any of the glossy glitz or, kung fu porn that we're all used to having now in movies.
But I will say, while we're talking about it, I will say the big difference, of course, is the editing in this movie.
Sure.
And the way that they shot, because they did shoot this for the edit, despite what people may think, because it is edited aggressively for 2002. Now, that being said, when I went back and watched it, it felt tame, like from an editing perspective, because I know how aggressively edited the second and third one, particularly the third one is cut really aggressively.
Yes.
But even this one, I suppose, at the time, people were like, whoa, what the hell am I watching?
Right.
Back then, for 2002, it's cut aggressively. But what I will say is that, and this is where I'm going to stand up on a soapbox for just a little bit, is how well it's done, how well it's executed, because there's been a lot of copycats, and I feel like the copycats are the reason for a lot of the criticism towards this style of editing and cutting. A lot of the copycats do it wrong. In this movie, every action, they do just the opposite of what you would normally do in a movie, which is you normally cut on action. This movie holds on the action and then cuts away. And because it's cut so quickly, you see exactly what you need to see, and then you're on to the next thing. And that's why it works so well. And all of the action is dead center in the frame.
Yes.
And so you see exactly what you need to see, and then you move on. And that's why it actually works in this movie.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and I think that's what lends to the realism of everything that's actually happening.
Yeah.
Because there's there's obviously an intense amount of choreography going on in those fight scenes.
Yes.
But it doesn't look choreographed.
No, because of the way that they cut it.
Because you're literally watching him dismantle Marines in the same cut.
Yeah.
They're not going, and then we cut to the back behind him as he flips him over because it's more dramatic that way, or whatever else. It's just like, bim, bam, boom, I'm a badass. Here we go.
Right.
The one thing where he disarms the Marine, the first Marine in the
embassy?
in the embassy, he's not even in focus. The Marine's back is what the camera is seeing.
Yes.
But you're watching him dismantle the guy regardless.
Well, and that's one other thing that I found really interesting in the trivia for this movie is that one of the things that Lyman employed was to not allow the cameramen to be part of the rehearsals. And so the effect of it was that they were constantly one step behind, just a half second behind everything that you see on screen. Like everything that's going on, the cameramen are like a half a second behind. So it looks like the cameraman is constantly trying to catch up, which creates an intensity.
Right. And that kind of documentary feel.
Yeah, exactly. And it adds to you take that plus the editing, and it makes something pretty damn special.
No doubt.
Cinematography was credited to the late, great Oliver Wood, who did a ton of stuff. Mr. Holland's Opus, Rudy, Die Hard 2, 2 Days in the Valley, and Face Off.
Face Off.
And while we're talking about Face Off, I will say this movie has definitely got some who is fun moments.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it is there. There's not many, but there's just enough to make it fun.
Thank God there weren't any doves, but we did get some birds flying.
We did get birds flying, and we did. We got birds flying. We got shooting while falling. We got an upside down gun shoot. I mean, if that isn't woo as fuck, I don't know what is.
No, it's probably the epitome. All he would have needed was some random doves living on the 4th floor to come flying out as he went down.
Right.
And it might as well have been a full homage at that point.
Totally. I will say, though, that Doug Liman, as a director, is very hands-on. And so there's a lot of points in this movie where he was actually the one holding the camera, where he would just step right in and put the camera on his shoulder and do his thing. So it's kind of a shared credit, really. I forgot to mention while we were talking about editing, Saar Klein, who did The Thin Red Line and Almost Famous and Jumper, he was the editor on this, which, I mean, God bless him. Not only is it fantastic editing, but he put up with Doug Liman for God knows how many hours in an edit bay.
Well, and apparently at least twice, because he did Jumper too. So
yeah. So the man has the patience of a saint. That's all I'm going to say. By the numbers, the original budget for this movie was $60 million, but because of late rewrites throughout the production and schedule delays, and then they added that scene at the farmhouse, that added another $8 million to the budget. But yeah, as far as that farmhouse scene, Lyman, Matt Damon, and Marshall all fought for that scene until the studio eventually caved. The movie made $214 million globally, and then had a really good run in the 2003 DVD rentals market, making another $22.7 million. So given the total budget was $68 million, and they swept up almost $250 million by the end of it.
Yeah, it seems like that $8 million was an okay investment.
Yeah, I think they got the return quite nicely.
Like to be honest with you, I think the movie would have completely bombed without it. So it's a good thing they put it in.
I do remember too seeing there's a video that came out fairly recently on like Instagram or Reels or something like that of Matt Damon talking about why they can't make movies the way that they used to, and he specifically brought up DVD rentals and sales and how, because that's no longer really a viable industry, that's half the reason why they can't get away with just churning out tons and tons of stuff the way that they used to.
Absolutely. Everything's got to have there's probably some sort of a percentage of success that somebody has an algorithm to figure out.
Sure.
Before they're going to greenlight whatever it is. And then whoever is making it, starring or whatever, is going to depend on what the budget's going to be to make it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're still going to, until Tom stops making a profit on his movies, Paramount's still going to give him pretty much whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Till he bombs, and it's only going to take one.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that too, because while I was watching some behind the scenes stuff about this movie, there were people that were talking about how Doug Liman was basically this director who was one bomb away from being blacklisted in the market because he's so difficult to work with that it's just like, well, now I have a reason to get rid of you.
Right.
Like, I already don't like you because you're a pain in my ass, but you're making tons of money for the studio for right now.
Right. So we can't deal with it.
Yeah. And now he's made so many good movies that now he's embedded in this
now
system.
people are just like, you know what we're getting into.
Yeah, just hold on for the ride. Music-wise, John Powell did the music. He's got tons of credits. He's lots of animated stuff like Shrek, How to Train Your Dragon, but he also did the Italian Job and Paycheck. He was brought in to replace Carter Burwell at the request of Lyman, which is, again, Lyman's gonna Lyman, I guess.
Sure.
Funny thing about this, they had already actually recorded most of the score after Lyman replaced him. And so they had all these recordings and stuff. They actually went back and ended up adding some of the string components of the original score that was recorded to make it feel more cinematic. So
what was the other dude writing? Synthesizers?
Well, I mean, if you listen to it, yeah, it's very drum and bassy. I mean, it kind of goes along with the two commercial songs that the Moby song and the Paul Oakenfold song.
Yeah.
Which I kind of wonder if they should have stuck with the original, to be honest, because that is the one thing about this movie that does feel a little dated.
Yeah, although I love Moby's song, and that's basically become the theme song for the Bourne movies anyway.
Yes,
but as they were trying to drag themselves kicking and screaming into the spy thriller 21st century thing,
yes,
somebody's like, we need something that's more hip that the kids will like. You know, let's bring in some of these. What's that guy's name? Mooby, the Lex Luthor guy with the synthesizers and the turntables. Bring him in.
Yeah, the Moby guy.
I know he's like a whale. I don't know how he does the DJ thing.
But yeah, I mean, listen, as somebody who I was in college and, I was beyond college at that point, but I'm old. But 2002, I was still, that era of music I was still way into. So even though to my ears now I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds a little dated, I still love it. I still love the music.
I think it works for the film. It certainly wasn't No Way Out synthy heavy crap.
Right.
So,
and I got to tell you, when that Paul Oakenfold song kicks in, when the car chase begins, I'm just like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
As far as main characters go, obviously we've got Matt Damon playing Jason Bourne. He was 30 when he filmed it. He looks about 23 in it.
If that.
Yeah, because he's so thin and he's just one of those guys that looks really young for a long time.
Ralph Macchio syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Until you reach that point where you just genetics can't hold you back anymore.
Genetics finally take over, yeah. As I said before, Brad Pitt turned down the role to do Spy Game. They also considered, and the usual suspects basically, they considered Russell Crowe, Arnold Schwarzenegger. How does that work? How does Arnold Schwarzenegger as Jason Bourne work? Explain that one to me. I don't know.
I'm just an American who came in and did the things that I needed to do.
And now I can't remember anything.
I keep trying. It's not memory. It's not. I know how. It's just like I can read a map, and it's like I can make a pot of coffee, and so I can tie a knot when you put the rope in front of me. But I remember nothing.
Then we've got. Tom Cruise was considered. Sly Stallone? Are you kidding me?
See,
that would be the worst version of Bourne ever. How to make Bourne look incredibly stupid.
Well, and again...
I can't remember anything. Adrian.
Can you tell me what Treadstone is, I keep hearing about Treadstone, and I don't even know. Can you tell me when the last time I was? I don't know. Both Arnold Schwarzenegger and Stallone were too old to play the character.
Yeah.
Regardless, Russell Crowe would have been an interesting choice.
He could have pulled it off.
But I think...
And Tom Cruise is too big of a name.
Tom Cruise already had...
Yeah.
There's no way he was going to do Jason Bourne.
No.
With 2 Mission Impossibles under his belt.
Exactly. He was so committed to that by then.
This is IMDb casting is what this is.
Totally.
If you look at any action movie between 1984 and probably 2007, Stallone was in it.
All those people are the usual suspects.
Prior to his rant, Mel Gibson was in it.
Yeah.
It's a little, but I could kind of see Russell Crowe. He was more of a physical guy back then.
Yeah.
Not saying anything about him now, but he and I are, shall we say, of similar body types these days.
He's solid.
He is, like his work.
That's right. And then we have Marie, played by the lovely Franca Potente, who is also in Run Lola Run. If you haven't seen Run Lola Run, I highly recommend it.
Absolutely.
It is an excellent...
What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah. Why have you not seen it yet?
Why are you listening to our podcast?
Go watch that movie and then come back
and finish listening to this. Actually,
yes.
no. Finish listening to this podcast, then go watch it. Then come back for the next one.
That's right. But she was actually not the first choice. Originally, it was Sarah Polley who turned down the role. And because of Franca's Germanness...
They had to make her German?
Yeah. They changed her role, or her background, rather, to be, instead of being a Canadian economist...
From the
book, she then became a German drifter, which makes much more sense.
Well, and I'll be honest with you. I think I said before, I haven't read any of the books. I can't read Wikipedia, however.
That's right.
And reading the synopsis of the story, making her a Canadian economist, or just the whole involvement that the character had required most of the backstory from the book to make it make sense. Although I guess you could have just said, "Hi, I'm a random Canadian economist in Paris." I feel that for the brevity of the story, the storytelling that they were going for.
Yeah,
having somebody who lived in Europe,
you needed
made
somebody
more sense.
Yeah, with more Euro street smarts, so to speak.
Right. Which maybe is one of the reasons why the farmhouse thing was such a hard sell, because
it didn't feel like that.
Well, what would a Canadian necessarily have somebody she knows in Europe that has a farmhouse?
Right.
Right?
Yeah, that too. Part of the actual plot not making a whole lot of sense that way. Other major characters, we've got Conklin, played by Chris Cooper, who just chews.
Oh my God.
Who just chews scenery, just makes you hate him. Makes you hate him.
Snapping at people instead of asking them to leave.
Just the biggest dickhead in the room. Doesn't know shit about shit, but still has the authority to.
Yeah.
God.
I mean, he either came up with that whole backstory for the guy, or Doug's like, "I want you to be this guy." He's like, "Oh yeah, I can do that. I can do that."
Well, I mean, the guy's from Texas. Chris Cooper's from Texas. He's already got, he can play into the stereotype of a Texan.
Oh, absolutely. And he was having a moment back then.
Yeah, he really was. Because that was, when did American...
99. So he was 3 years into that.
So he just came off of, what was that called? American
Beauty.
American Beauty.
And he seemed like he was in everything at that point.
Yeah.
And then eventually fell into the most recent Muppet movie with Jason Segel, and haven't seen him since.
Oh no!
But you know what he played in the last Muppet movie with Jason Segel? A wealthy Texas oil baron who tried to buy out the Muppet Show. So he was still playing the same guy.
Shocker! Then we've got Ward Abbott, played by Brian Cox, who apparently no longer ages.
No.
He's been the same age for the past
since 2020 or 2002 at least.
So for the past 30 years, he's been the same age. But he does a good job. I mean, he's Brian Cox.
Brian Cox his way. He really coxes this up, if you want to say
yes.
that.
And then we've got Conklin's right-hand kid, so to speak, Zorn, played by Gabriel Mann. I just had to bring him out because he's interesting, because he's the whipping boy.
But he looks like a combination of Daniel Tosh and and some other actor who in fact, I thought he was some other actor, and I'm like, this guy's nobody. But then I'm like, his last name's Zorn.
Yeah. And then we've got, I had to list this. I had to put it in here because it's kind of a super early. We've got research tech. That's his official title in here, but it's Walter Goggins, who was in the recent Fallout TV show. He's in Justified, Hateful Eight, Django Unchained. He's in everything now, but this was kind of before he hit his big stride.
Definitely Baby Walt.
Yeah.
And sadly, even Baby Walt was losing his hair at that point. It's very sad.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because, again, there's another fully formed human being. All of his stuff was 100% Walter Goggin acting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And then we've got an interesting choice here. We've got Nicolette, played by Julia Stiles. Just so wasteful, given... I mean, at this point in her career, she had already done 10 Things I Hate About You and Save the Last Dance. She was already a known quantity.
Right.
And yet, I mean, how many lines in the movie does she get?
She's basically an interstitial.
Yeah, she's nothing.
Lyman's like, I don't want to just have some ugly guy sitting behind a telephone transferring calls.
Yeah.
Let's get a mildly attractive woman that everybody recognizes but has no substance in the movie whatsoever.
Yeah.
Now, she does have more substance in the next one.
I mean, thankfully, yeah. At
least that
least,
might have been the buy-in for her.
Maybe that was. Maybe they said, well, if this does well, we'll bring you back, and give you a bigger role in the second one or something. I don't know. Because I'm just like, that's it? That's all you're giving her to do? Because it's been a while since I've seen this movie. And
yeah.
I
remember her being criminally underused in it when I watched it.
Yeah.
Because that was, again, at her moment in time.
Right.
And I'm like, why is she even in this movie?
Yeah.
It's literally, why isn't she playing Marie, right?
Yeah.
And I could immediately see why, because the chemistry that Matt Damon and Franca had
yeah.
was just smoking.
Yeah.
But again, this literally could have been anybody.
Yeah.
You could put Annie Potts in there playing her character from Ghostbusters, you know?
Right.
Hold on, I'll got Jason Bourne in line 2.
And then we've got a slightly younger Clive Owen playing the Professor, or at least that's his code name, the assassin named the Professor. Basically 2 years before his big heyday began with Closer and Sin City and a million other
Children
movies.
of Men, everything you got thrown into. But
Yeah.
this is where he was peak Bond, man.
Yeah, they really, he could have been the Bond that could have
When
been.
when they were talking about that in the burgeoning days of the internet, I'm just like, here is the spiritual successor to Sean Connery that we've all been waiting for, you know?
Yeah.
A not typically pretty handsome, I think he's Scottish, guy.
Just ruggedly handsome.
Just ruggedly handsome. He's got the correct eyebrows, the correct hair.
That's right.
And just the dead-eyed assassin stare.
Swagger.
Yeah.
All of it.
And did he get it? No.
No.
And was Daniel Craig fine? Yes.
Yes.
And do I like Daniel Craig now? Yes.
Yes. And then I had to bring up some of these other assassins. First of all, Castell, who I love. Played by a stuntman, Nicky Naudet, although he does do regular acting work as well. But at the time, he did largely stunt work. Just playing the craziest fucking hitman. I am just insane, but it works so well. He's menacing. He looks like the goddamn Terminator.
Exactly. Well, he even does a full Terminator stand.
Yeah, after he gets knocked down, he comes straight up like a vampire or something. Just,
You're going to have to do better than that, Mr. Bourne.
And then we've got Mannheim, who is another Treadstone assassin played by Russell Levy, who we only see a little bit.
And yet, Russell Levy is one of those guys that just, he's a bad guy.
Oh, yeah. Well, they purely looks.
Right.
Got him
well,
that
that's
role.
all you ever see him. Because he doesn't have, like you said, doesn't have a line in the movie.
Right.
But every time
just
you see him,
answers
he's
the
just...
phone and looks sinister.
Shit, he didn't even answer the phone. He was kind of like, back to what I am doing.
Yeah.
You know, so... And the payoff with that was so fantastic for me because it was so anticlimactic and climactic at the same time.
Right. All right. Well, that's pretty much all the main characters. Should we just jump into the sucker?
Let's do it.
So we don't really have a pre-title sequence. I mean, we kind of do, but it's just some guys out at sea and they're playing poker, and then we get a shot of Bourne floating out in the Mediterranean
with his little blinky light.
A little blinky light, and then we get the title, the just real subtle Bourne Identity title, and then we're back to the scene, I guess, and just kind of it's very understated. To be sure.
And I will say appropriately sized location titles.
Yes, appropriately sized location titles. I think they were the start of appropriately sized location titles.
They might well have been. The thing is, I don't think there's anything identifying anywhere else that they're going.
Well, they identified the bank when they went to the bank.
They did, but they did say he was in Switzerland. They'd made it abundantly clear he was going to Switzerland. There was no... Did they...
Well, they identified cities. I don't think...
Cities. No, you're right. They didn't do
I don't
countries.
think they did countries, but I think they did
cities.
cities.
I do remember seeing Paris now.
Yeah.
But, there wasn't, obviously, Russo brothers level.
Yes.
Paris!
Across the entire screen.
Also, I will note out, at no time that I
Eiffel Tower?
I saw no Eiffel Tower out of any building at all.
Or a little spider that came down and... Nothing like that.
Nope, right along with the ports. There's none of that nonsense in this movie.
So yeah, Bourne's floating out there, little blinky light, and then you see, they spot him from the ship, and I gotta say, the way that they shot this, it was so dark.
It really was.
I never had any, at least on my Blu-ray, I didn't get any artifacting, which is almost what I would have expected for something so dark.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it just, it turned out well. It's just, I wish I would have been watching initially when I first watched this movie. I watched it during the day, and I'm just like, I can't see anything.
Yeah, it's all washed out.
Right. So they bring him inside, they hoist him up into the boat, and they bring him inside, and they assume he's dead, and then suddenly he moves, and everybody's like, oh!
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
So then, boy, talk about being fortunate as far as what crew finds your shot ass. Because Because they could have just robbed him and thrown him back overboard. I mean, God knows who might have picked him up in the middle of the sea like that.
Right.
But of course, you've got the world's nicest captain on board, who also happens to be a kind of sort of doctor.
Right.
And proceeds to pull the bullets out of you.
Which, can I just say, why didn't those bullets get further into his body than they did?
Right?
It didn't look like he was wearing Okay, this is going to be my biggest gripe for this whole movie. A lot of things are not explained about that boat, about the boat incident that got him in the water.
Yeah.
First of all, they don't explain why he has amnesia. There's nothing that indicates anything that he got hit on the head.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
Then there was clearly 2 shots at the end, but those looked like they were 9mm bullets. I know that, I mean, they deformed like they hit a bulletproof vest.
Well, he was wearing that wetsuit, so the wetsuit might have had some armor on it. Maybe. I don't know.
I guess
it's the only thing that explains. I'll tell you this: it's the only thing that explains that he's suddenly able to start helping out around the ship,
doing pull-ups and fisherman stuff with 2 bullet holes in his back that are just covered with bandages.
Right.
There was more damage taking the laser pointer out of him than there was pulling those bullets out. So, and I thought maybe he's genetically altered. Maybe they built. There's nothing. There's nothing that explains how Bourne is effectively bulletproof. Because, I mean, unless he was wearing a bulletproof vest when he got thrown overboard or jumped,
right?
Neoprene ain't gonna matter. Scuba gear would have either deflected the bullets or, I don't know, maybe I guess a 9mm. I'm not a ballistics expert. I don't play one on TV. Maybe it could have gone through the tank both ways and then hit him in the back and only one. But I would have liked a little more explanation.
Perhaps
I guess
so.
is what I really would have liked is to see that boat scene in its entirety rather than just the
flashbacks at
of
the
him.
end.
Yeah. I would have liked to see because I don't understand how he lost his memory. Was it the trauma of almost killing a kid? And that dude had a lot of kids. But
well, I think it definitely has to do with the program that he's in more than anything. That whatever they administered to him in the Treadstone program, I feel like that's the biggest.
Well, I think that's how he's able to retain all the stuff that he can do.
Yeah.
It doesn't explain how he lost who he is.
That's true.
Now, they did kind of intimate, especially with Clive Owen's character, that maybe there was an activation sequence, Manchurian Candidate style.
Okay.
But they didn't really demonstrate that other than just saying it's on or whatever they said at the beginning of the... So
I kind of wonder if that was purposefully vague, though.
Maybe.
If they tried to sort of shroud everything in a little bit of mystery to help dissuade you from asking those questions. You know what I mean?
I guess. I mean, at the end of the day, it didn't really affect the movie.
Yeah.
We know he got amnesia somehow during the boat thing.
Right.
The book says it's because the boat exploded.
Oh,
so
okay.
There's some physical trauma that happened to him.
Yeah.
This one, all I really wanted to see was him get shot in the head or graze
or just somebody hit him with a pipe or something. Yeah.
In the conservatory. It was Colonel Mustard the whole time. I don't know. But anyway, that was the thing that followed through here that bothered me the most was that the minor injuries from firearms and the fact that did he just forget?
Yeah.
You know, and maybe you're right. Maybe he was just like his own natural tendencies were conflicting with the programming and he short-circuited the memory function.
Who knows?
I don't know, but any other movie worth its salt would have given me a little something.
Also, I have to bring up, again, this captain, nicest guy in the world, pulls the little laser thingy that has his bank number on it.
Right.
Gives it back to him.
Yeah.
Gives it back.
Well, I'm going to tell you what it was. It's because he used to be a very rich neurosurgeon that lived in Switzerland.
And he was just tired of all that.
And he did. So all of his money is still in a Swiss account, and he knows they've got the hand scanner.
And he's like, well, I'd never make it past the hand scanner.
Well, because he says, because this seems like a very nice boy, and I don't want to cut his hand off. And it would look suspicious when I got to the bank. So, and I don't have a machine that makes masks and fingerprints like the Impossible Mission Force does. So he was just like, I'll just let him. Maybe he'll cut me some on the side.
That's right. So, but yeah, he gets his laser thingy back. Now he's on the ship, but he can't remember anything.
And he lets everyone know he can't.
Yeah,
in the most whiny Matt Damon-y way possible.
Almost Luke Skywalker whiny.
Here's why we hired Matt Damon, because nobody plays whiny better than him except Mark Hamill.
Seriously. And then, we get that weird moment where you hear him saying, "Do you know who I am?" And he's like doing, that's another interesting thing about the way that they cut this movie. They do a lot of this like leading with audio from a scene that you're not going to see for several cuts, where he's doing pull-ups, he's doing this on the boat, he's doing that on the boat, and you hear
different languages.
You hear him say, "Do you know who I am?" And then you realize he's talking to himself in the mirror, which is just a weird...
I don't know. It's kind of an interesting affectation. But he goes from Spanish or from French to German.
That's right. Well, it's sort of like introducing the audience into, okay, this guy knows. He clearly knows all this stuff, but he still doesn't know who the hell he is.
Right. And I think that in my mind, the scene was him, well, maybe if I speak a different language, it will spark something.
That would make sense.
But why do I know all these languages anyway? But maybe he's trying to find if maybe even English wasn't his normal language, right?
Right, yeah.
And full props to Matt. He pulled off the accents on whatever he was saying pretty good, particularly the German when he's having this conversation with the cops.
He clearly. So
either he knows both of them or he just learned them phonetically correct to say it, but he sounded like he was speaking everything. And I love how he kind of was like, when they would speak to him in another language, he'd initially start in English.
Yes.
And then when he wasn't getting his point across, then he would jump into, as Christopher Moore will say in his books, perfectly fucking French, you know, so.
Well, and it was a good way it felt more authentic that way, because that way it's one of those things where maybe this is something that triggers his ability to speak in that language.
Right, like he's defaulting in English, but when he knows he needs to get his point across, all of a sudden it kicks into German or
being
French.
Put on the spot suddenly activates that in his brain.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, I know this language."
Right.
Yeah, so he's yelling at the captain. He's like,
there's been nothing but nice to him.
Yeah, the captain's been the nicest guy in the world. He's like, "You need to eat." And he's like, he's just yelling and he's throwing shit. And he's like, "I know all this shit. I know how to tie a knot and do this and that and the other, but I don't know who I am. And I'm just going to yell at you, even though you've been the nicest guy in the whole world."
And the captain just looks at him like his dad and like, "It will come."
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Will you just calm the hell down, dude?
We could throw you back in the ocean.
Right. I mean, how would that feel? But I do think it's kind of funny. He gets off, right before he gets off the boat, Captain gives him some money and a coat. It's like, "Well, good luck, kid. You're on your own now." It's like, I've done all this shit and all you've done is yell at me. So here.
Off to Switzerland you go.
Yeah. Good luck.
Do you know what I have to point out is also funny though? Because they gave him clothes to wear. I like how the back of the sweater he's wearing looks like it has bullet holes in the back of it, like the bullet went through. Because when he went past the police officers in Switzerland the first time, and the guy kind of gives him the stink eye, I thought he caught on to the fact that he had bullet holes potentially. And I'm like, no, he wasn't wearing that sweater when he got shot. Or it would have been cut to ribbons by scissors, which in my mind were totally unnecessary. But I digress. That was an expensive wetsuit is what I'm saying.
Yes. Very, yeah. I will say, too, this is one beef I do have with this movie, and it happens a couple different times, is if they're coming off the coast of Marseille and he needs to go to Switzerland, how the hell is he going to make it across the borders
without a passport? Particularly in post 9/11, post 2001, because this was 2002. So, I don't know. So that got me thinking, well, I'm pretty sure that they border each other. I'm real good on European geography, people. Real good. Like, I know I'm North American because there's literally only 3 options. But I'm like, I know France is attached to Switzerland at some point. I believe below Germany. And I know they're attached to Germany because they all speak German in Switzerland, but also French. And they do. They're right next to each other. So you can get there. So he only had to go through one border crossing.
Yeah.
And maybe
things were lax.
Maybe he borned himself. We didn't see him get on the train, did we? I guess we did see him in the train station.
Yeah, he just got on a train.
Well, but I mean, all he had to do was get the ticket. That's all he would have needed the passport for, probably, unless somebody went, "Tickets, please." Right. Which nobody did. It's a commuter train.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could justify it, but like the amnesia, perhaps they just left it up to our imagination to complain about 20 some odd years later.
Right, when 2 guys in a basement decided to dissect the film.
Exactly. That's what Lyman was thinking. Someday.
Anyway, so then we get to Zurich, and he's sleeping on a park bench in the winter. Doesn't bother to find shelter or anything? I mean, I'm just saying.
The dude can climb buildings like Spider-Man. You think he could have found an open window somewhere.
I know, but, I digress. Don't you know you can't sleep on a park bench? Did you learn anything from Gotcha?
Yeah, exactly.
So he's there, and I don't know, maybe you have a different opinion on this. It felt like they did a little bit of speedy uppy in this interaction between him and the cops.
I didn't get that impression that they overclocked it or anything like that.
Because it looked so fast. And maybe it's just the way that he cut it.
But I think it comes back to what you talked about earlier. The fact that it was right there, center frame, mid-level, until, you weren't seeing this whole body. It was just the upper section of it. And he just dissects them so quickly with no other pretense that it looked fast, because we're used to it being slowed down for
American audiences.
For murder porn. Basically, karate porn. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
Ever since John Wick came out and David Leitch.
Oh, David Leitch.
Yeah, David Leitch and Chad something Polish.
Yeah.
Came out and started doing all those movies. That's how everybody now mimics that.
Yeah.
And so this one was just quick, surgical, boom, bang, boom.
So fast.
Right.
So fast. I literally thought, I'm like, did he speed that up?
I don't think so.
Just a quarter or something?
I mean, it's possible. To my eye, it didn't look unnatural.
No, not at all. But yeah, so the cops are like, get out of here, kid. And then suddenly they want to see his
papers.
His
he literally
papers.
says papers. And I'm like, that was the most German thing said in this entire movie.
Yeah. So he disarms those guys. And then we're into Langley in the, what I like to call the exposition center.
That's fair. I want to say one last thing, that I was baffled about why he got rid of the coat.
Oh, yeah.
Until the second watching, I guess, remember in that movie Back to the Future when Marty showed up with his red down vest?
What are you, from the Coast Guard,
exactly.
kid?
I'm like, did he dump it because the red puffer jacket made him stand out too much?
Or it could have been one of those things where when those guys came to, that they told their superiors, it's a guy that looks like this, he's wearing this coat.
That's what I'm saying. I think he probably dropped the coat because it made him stand out with that coat.
Yeah, it was a fairly distinctive looking coat.
Right. But he proceeds for the next half of the movie to walk around shivering the whole time.
Right.
And I'm like...
He looks like he's in a Christmas carol, like,
right.
It's so cold.
Right. I'm just like, could you have broken into a store and stolen another coat?
Or Jason Bourne.
Pulled a David Banner and pulled it off of a clothesline somewhere after you turned into the Hulk, your clothes got all ripped?
That's right.
I don't know. I mean, the guy was obviously a highly trained assassin, but not very good at dressing himself. Because what does he pick when he goes on a shopping spree? All military-looking clothing with a trench coat. You're in Paris, dude, with millions of dollars.
Yeah, well, he has no memory of anything else.
That's true. All he knows is, I wear tactical sweaters.
That's right. So then, we're in the exposition center at Langley, and we see our first taste of Wombosi, the guy from, I don't even know which country in Africa.
I don't know they even point out if he's... I think they're doing a lot of letting the actor determine his general geolocation.
Yeah. So Wombosi is on TV talking about the threat on his life and threatening to make public the history of the CIA in Africa, and will name names and all this stuff. And there's all these bigwigs in the room. And so...
I'm going to point out, the most un-CIA looking room anywhere. None of the offices in the CIA look like they belong in the actual CIA.
No, because this room looked more like old school MI6, like lots of dark wood, all that kind of thing. And the guy that's sort of running the talk or the meeting,
I think it's supposed to be the director of the CIA.
Okay. So, he's in there and he's like, I know that no one on my senior staff would be so reckless as to attempt, an assassination so carelessly like this, yada, 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 which of course means somebody in here did this shit.
Right. So find out who.
And then, of course, we immediately cut to Ward Abbott walking out of the room. So obviously he knows something, or at least he's going to find out something about maybe his understudy is done in this case. So then we go to the what I like to call the largest, emptiest cafeteria in history.
Dude, when I saw that, I almost thought, are they using the mirror trick on us here?
I kind of wondered if that's what it was, because it looked massive. It looked like a warehouse filled with cafeteria benches.
It just
and
went
nobody's
on
in there.
On and on. Yeah, exactly. One cleaning person, and that's it. One guy eating at a table at the far, far back, which I thought was where the actual cafeteria ended.
Right.
And then they just had the mirrors to make it look like it was farther back.
Yeah. Apparently nobody eats at the CIA. They just have a big cafeteria.
Well, you know what happens when you do the CIA? You get sick and then somebody breaks into the room where all the data's on as they swing down with their glasses on and stop just before hitting the sensors on the floor.
That's right. That's right. And thankfully the knife lands on the desk and not on the floor. Whew. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. So at that point, we see Abbott and Conklin in there, and he asks if Treadstone was responsible for the attempt on Wombosi's life, and Conklin's like, are you really asking me this flat out? And just kind of pissed off, but it's like obvious that yes, that's exactly what he did.
Yes.
And Conklin says something to the effect of, I didn't know this was a situation. And Abbott's like, well, you didn't even tell me there was a situation.
Right.
So we sort of get the dynamic. We sort of figure out in this little meeting the dynamic between Abbott and Conklin.
Right. Well, and they're clearly trying to establish that Abbott's maybe more of a bureaucrat than he actually turns out to be at the end. But, Conklin's the get her done guy.
Yeah.
They ask me no questions, I tell you no lies, but I'll get the job done.
Right.
With my robo-soldiers of doom.
So then we're back to Zurich. Hey, kids, lower thirds. We're at the Gemeinschaft Bank. I probably butchered that, Chris. Need your help here.
Yeah, I would have just said the Gesundheit Bank.
The Gesundheit Bank. We'll just call it that. So they're at the Gesundheit Bank. And again, nobody's asking Bourne for an ID. I guess the handprint works, though, so it's fine. I mean, it is a handprint. For 2002, that's pretty high tech.
Unless you're Tom Cruise, you aren't faking somebody's handprint.
Yeah, exactly. And I just had to put this in my notes. As soon as he got in that elevator for the bank, it looked just like Harry Potter.
The Gringotts?
Yeah.
I thought the same thing.
Like waiting for a goblin to be walking around like, are you lost?
Here comes Warwick Davis. Come with me, Jason Bourne, and I will take you to your vault. The thing I thought about also, and I did think about that, but the light of the elevator moving in the back because there was that glass black lighting, I immediately just thought of the turbo lifts on the original Star Trek and how that's how they demonstrated what direction. I kept waiting for it to start going left to right instead.
Right. So he gets into the little private room and they bring him the drawer, whatever you want to call that. And he opens it up and there's cash and IDs and a gun.
And contact lenses, which was a nice touch.
Yeah. So now he basically is like, I'm Jason Bourne. I'm Jason Bourne. But then, of course, he lifts up the thing, and underneath it is like 15 other different identities. So now he's like, well, maybe I'm John Michael Caine. I don't know.
If it was John Michael Caine, then he would have ended up talking like this, which maybe he did, but he did it when he went in to pretend he was John Michael Caine. So probably not.
That's right. Clearly, he had enough information that sort of led him to believe that Bourne was the most likely identity.
Yeah,
maybe.
they did. Yeah. Well, actually, no, I guess all the passports were up on the top level, weren't they?
The other passports were underneath.
So that's probably
the Bourne one was on top.
Was on top, right? So that's probably why he thought that was the main one.
Yeah.
Because nobody was supposed to see what was on the bottom of the thing.
Yeah.
Somebody popped it open. So
it was like the hidden level.
So fortunately, he put the right one there. He didn't make a mistake, or he would have thought his name was Giuseppe Paulo or Paul K from Canada A.
Right. So then he starts becoming aware of time, and oh boy. I mean, this is the part that, yes, he has amnesia, but he also has spy smarts that are buried in his brain that seem to be working.
Right.
Which I'm like, why are you going to keep it in a burn bag, a bright red burn bag this long? I understand initially for the immediacy, he puts all this stuff in a burn bag and then he gets out of there.
Right.
But that immediately makes him conspicuous.
Well,
putting all the shit in a burn bag that's sitting on the floor, used as like a trash can, like it's lining a trash can in that little room.
Right. Well, and I mean, given the fact that she had all of that luggage in the back of her Mini, right? And then that bag ends up at the end anyway. Did you resist the temptation to make sure that it didn't say Pushkin on that bag? Because it said something.
The diplomatic bag.
And I was kind of like, man, my estimation of the art department would have gone up considerably if they'd spelled Pushkin but put it with the umlaut over the U so that it looked like it might be German.
That'd be amazing. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, he puts all the money in the bag and his IDs and everything else. And then he gets out of there, and immediately there's a guy in the bank that clearly is a contact for the CIA.
Yeah, because he looks like he's a fucking rat.
Yeah,
he looks like.
Totally.
Like the central casting, we need a guy who looks like a fucking rat.
There you go.
Perfect. Oh, but he needs to look like he's a Swiss. Oh, yes. Well done.
So they immediately point him out, and so they're immediately interested in him, and literally the moment he walks out of that bank, everyone in town is looking at him.
Yeah.
Like all the policemen, they've all got the word already.
Yeah. It's like he walked into Inception, and all of, the brain was trying, the subconscious was just identifying all of the people. They're all there, or Donald Sutherland in the Invasion of the Body Snatchers stands up and just goes, oh. Yeah, and then I mean he's all paranoid about it, but I have to say, some of the stuff was pretty subtle.
Yeah.
Like when he sees the meter maid when he's talking on the phone, and he calls his own house, and she's kind of like, she has this expression on her face, she's getting on the walkie, like they just cut away from it as if she was not being paranoid or not actually looking at him.
Yeah.
But the cuts were just right at the point where you're like, you're not really sure.
Yeah. And I will say, too, I wish I could have watched this with completely fresh eyes. But because back in the early aughts, I watched this movie a lot, it's hard for me to identify exactly the intensity that I felt this at.
Sure.
When I first watched it. Because I seem to remember, like if I try and think back to when I first saw this movie, I do think I remember all of this feeling really tense and really... Because now when I watch it... It's not comical, but it's not far off from comical.
Right.
The level of paranoia that is displayed as he's walking and all the people looking. And
well, yeah. Plus, again, you've got that 20 years of the more ramped up, amped up type of spy movie.
Yeah.
That isn't trying to play for any kind of subtlety. So since this one's a little more subtle, you're kind of like, was this Austin Powers?
Yeah.
It's kind of like right in my face here.
Yeah. So yeah, while he's being followed and everyone's looking at him, he goes to a payphone. Remember those?
Yep.
Payphones. So he calls his own house, and that's his voice. And then after that, too many people watching, and there's cops now following him. And so where does he go? He goes to the embassy.
But just happened to be right around the corner from the bank.
Right. Apparently the U.S. Embassy is literally right around the corner from.
And I do like how the Swiss police, for some reason, forgot that it's U.S. territory and they can't just come in. Yeah. So they're arguing with the guard up front.
Yeah. It's like, sure, it's fine. So then he's in there, and I kind of felt like a little ways into this, he's like, oh shit, they're looking for me in here too.
Well, they were.
Yeah. But he's standing in line and he sees Marie, and she's up at the desk talking to somebody, and she's having trouble. And I never quite...
She's trying to get a visa. The gist of her conversation sounded like she was trying to get in on a student visa. Or no, she was trying to get in on a work visa initially, but because she'd lost her home, she was trying to get into a student visa so she could stay longer.
Gotcha.
And so she had changed what she was trying to do.
Yeah.
So the bureaucrat was like, this is not what we started here in the first place, kind of thing.
And then you kind of gather that, somebody kind of swindled her out of some stuff. And so she's just she's doing shady things, but other people are doing shady things to her.
Right.
And so she's just kind of in a bit of trouble. And either way, she's lost her home and she needs help. But they see Bourne with the bright red bag,
which literally gets called out.
Right. You red bag. And I'm guessing, I'm trying to figure out like why they immediately, was it the CIA that immediately called the embassy, or was it a police report about the incident at the park?
No, because the guy that identified him at the bank worked for the CIA.
That's right.
The
So
CIA
it had to have
called
been
whoever chief of station was in Switzerland and said, this is that. They called whoever their contacts were, probably made up a story about him.
Right.
And then, but the CIA was probably already involved in case he went to the embassy.
Yeah. So then he walks into this room and he stops, and just the way that he disarms and takes down these guys is insane.
Oh yeah.
And the way, like when he throws this one guy to the floor, and it's like a top-down shot, and it's just
looked very painful
and very powerful,
yes.
like strong. And maybe they did it from a top down so that because Matt Damon's a slight fellow, so
right.
So I don't know if that helped make it look that much more powerful, but
it did have the effect that it was going for, which was ow.
Yeah. So he gets rid of those guys and he takes their gun, and then everybody scurries off and runs. And it's interesting, though, that after he uses the gun to make everybody get out of his way,
he throws it in the trash.
So
here's the janitor the night afterwards. I'm getting ready to clean the trash cans. And okay.
Alrighty then. And then there's a guy that tries to stop him at the stairway, and it's the most
oh my god.
It is the most extreme nut punch I have ever seen in my life.
And I'm gonna say right now, the best non-comedic reaction to getting nut punched.
Yes.
As the guy is sliding downstairs, he winces like every time he goes down.
Well, he flipped over and then and I'm like, did he kill that guy with a nut punch?
But the guy was just like, blink, ow, blink, ow, blink, ow.
So he takes the guy's radio. I literally thought the guy was dead. I was like, death by nut punch. Wow. So he takes the guy's radio, and this begins what I feel like is now, this is the beginning of a Bourne trope.
Sure.
Because I feel like this happens in I might be wrong, but it feels like this happens in every Bourne movie now, where he either gets a radio or he gets some sort of phone he gets some sort of device that allows him to listen in to what the enemy is doing. So he's always one step ahead of them.
Right.
Like this happens all the time now. It's like a Bourne trademark. So he's listening in, which is hilarious too, and I remember laughing about this in the theater when I first saw this movie, when he's listening in and goes, suspect may have a radio now. It's like, yeah. So, and then we see this shot of this room where all the guys from the embassy who work at the embassy, massive guns pulling.
All the Marines are going into the armory.
I'm like, I had no idea that there were that many guns in an embassy.
Yeah.
But I guess these are things
Embassies
I don't know.
are all guarded by Marines, and that's U.S. territory. So if somebody comes in there, those Marines are going to Marine all over there.
Yeah, apparently so. So then he's using the whole trick of listening into where they're going and what everything's happening. So he's kind of evading him, and he goes up the stairway where they're not. And he goes up to the very tippy top, and he goes out, and there's a little fire escape thing that looks really sketchy.
The fire escape was locked. Which I'm like, well, that's never going to happen in the United States, said OSHA ever, but actually does all the time.
Right.
Also, can I point out, as he was walking through there, I love how he just suddenly pulls off the floor plan off the wall.
And all the
it's using it as a
people
map.
are like closing doors and hiding from him.
Well, because they're probably under lockdown.
Yeah.
So they just have an order to shelter in place.
Right.
Although they probably didn't call that before the lockdown, but they probably just called it a lockdown. But anyway, but yeah, at least we didn't get the movie trope of him opening the door and doing the whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah. There's no like Star Wars moment where the bridge is out or
I think I shot the controls.
So he busts out and he's on this sketchy little fire escape thing. So
the ladder's broken.
And he tries to go up, but in the process of trying to climb up onto the roof, he loses his bag and he's like, well, I guess I got to go down now.
That was such a pretty shot too. Just watching it then hit the snow and it goes.
Yeah. A lot of the photography in this is great. Like just like little moments though, like that, where they actually allow it to live for a half a second.
It breathes for a second. Yeah. And you're just like, it illustrates that he could also go poof, but a lot more red than the bag.
Right.
But it's just
right.
Can I just say I have a little thing about watching things fall in snow? What can I say?
On Her Majesty's, anyone? Anyway, so the bag drops, and so now he has to change course because he needs all that shit. So he then starts to climb down, and I will say in the trivia, apparently he did climb down the majority of that himself.
Really?
Matt Damon did. He said it was the most grueling thing that he did. He did a lot of his own stunts in this. And this was the biggest one that he did,
Well,
was
sure.
scaling down the last 30 feet of this descent.
Okay. Because, I mean...
I don't think he did it all. I don't think he did all of it, but I just read that the last 30 feet...
Yeah, climbing down the water pipe and then doing the Iron Man landing at the bottom.
Yeah.
But, because I like when they're doing the scaling part across on when
yeah.
I'm like, well, I know Tom Cruise can probably do that by himself.
Right.
And I'm like, you could have put him in a wire rig and he could have done it too. Whoever was in it was in a wire rig. I could tell from the way their legs were dangling because I've seen Tom Cruise do it without wires.
Yeah.
And I know his legs move more than that because he's obviously my benchmark for that sort of thing. But the thing that struck me about that scene, he hides as he hears him coming and it literally goes underneath and is just hiding under
the hiding
doorway.
bit.
And then he moves himself back up and he goes... But I'm currently playing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on my Xbox, and it's very much a Lara Croft style, climby, whippy kind of thing.
Sure.
And because some of it's in Europe, all I could see while he's going across on that ledge is Indy going across the thing at the same speed he's going across, and I'm just like, wow, this is really weird. All I wanted him to go is, I don't know if this is going to be worth it or not. I hate climbing on ledges. I just, I don't know. Serendipity.
Indeed. So yeah, he gets to the bottom, and then we're back with Conklin and his whipping boy, Zorn. And Zorn tells Conklin that Bourne's in Switzerland and that their guy at the bank ID'd him. And it's funny because Zorn sort of mumbles to himself in this scene where he's like, he takes the bag, but he leaves the gun. What does that mean? And Conklin's like, I don't give a shit. I just want him dead. I was happier when I thought he was dead.
Well, and that's a funny thing because at the end, Zorn becomes Abbott's whipping boy.
Yeah.
And he seems much happier.
Yeah. Oh, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like maybe Abbott appreciates thoughtful intellectual questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Instead of just shutting you down and shut up, idiot. I'm a dick. Anyway.
I'm in charge here.
I'm in charge. So then we're back and Bourne is, he finds Marie at her car in the alleyway and he sort of says, well, you need help. You need money. I have money. I need a ride to Paris. What do we say? We help each other. Right. He's kind of shying his head away as the cops drive by and she's like, are they after you? Like, what?
Right.
Do I?
Well, and it was a nice little subtle because the cop car goes by and Matt's kind of like, muh, right? He turns away from and she has that nice little subtle reaction like, whoa, oh.
Yeah, a good little bit of acting, actual acting. Like,
but she was in the same room he was in when he started karate chopping people. So you would think maybe that would be that big of a surprise to her.
Yeah, right?
Also, why is this go-to American money? He literally had every currency in the world on there, including Deutschmarks.
I'm gonna go for the audience recognizes that as money.
I mean, obviously, out of everything that was in the bag, probably at that time, the American money was worth the most.
Sure,
but I also, and this is obviously a directorial choice, but I feel like if he speaks fluent German and he recognized she was German, why wouldn't he engage her in German to kind of disarm her a little bit?
He does a little bit.
But he does it in concert with with English.
Yeah, he starts with English and then she's like, this guy's trying to rip me off. And then he says in German, I'm not trying to rip you off or whatever.
But it almost goes back to what you were saying about maybe the situation pops German into his head.
Yeah.
It's not natural for him to do it. Because even when he's in Paris and talking to the French lady in the apartment when he gets in there,
it's
still very kind of like, I don't know who you are. I'm still talking in English.
It's like he has to be activated,
right?
For it to suddenly start working.
Pop in.
Yeah.
So maybe that gives some credence to it. But I just thought that would have been an interesting way to do that scene.
Yeah.
Because listen, if I was a CIA programmed assassin who was trying to convince a very attractive German woman to help me, I would speak in German so that you thought I was also German.
Yes, her compatriot.
Absolutely.
I do like, though, it's a nice touch when she's like, well, I'm not taking you. And he's like, well, can I have my money back then?
Can I have my money back then?
But that makes him more trustworthy. Just the fact that he's willing to ask for the money back that he just threw her. He's like, well,
rather than go take it from her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he literally just asks for it.
And then she's all like, well.
Yeah. It's like, well, this feels pretty good in my hand. I guess I'll take you.
I mean,
You're kind of cute.
Yeah. I feel like he did that on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
She knew once she had the money, she was going to not say no.
Right. So off they go. And then we cut to the earliest inception of a situation room, which is literally just this cramped office with a bunch of like Pentium computers.
Which, if you had switched the computers from Pentium stuff to Macs, it would have looked like any art department in an ad firm anywhere.
Right.
They crammed all the art nerds into one room with barely enough workspace to use on their computers with.
Right.
And then let's not forget the wonderful Windows, what would that have been about? Windows 5 or 6?
Oh, geez.
Awesome graphics.
Who knows? It was, yeah.
Especially when they're reveying or going through the surveillance footage on them.
Which I do have a problem with that. Honestly, graphics in this movie, I take issue with, I will say. Like all the on-screen, there's some shit coming up that I'm about to talk about here. But
there's nothing super egregious about it.
No. But it's just enough to annoy me.
Right.
Because it's like they're scrolling through the footage and it's making the tape sound of. I'm like, come on, that's not what that does. That doesn't do that.
Well, to be fair, we don't know what sort of specialized CIA software might do.
Okay.
And maybe the guy who programmed it was like, "This would be funny.
They'd love this. It would feel like
What if they had to use this in a movie? People didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an option. Like you could click a button to turn it off.
Turn analog sounds on and off.
Well, because maybe it's got like a little thing where you could select tapes or record scratches, or maybe there's one with a slide whistle. Go forward.
Oh God. Yeah. So they're scrubbing through all this footage, what have you, and. Even the ability for the computers to scrub through footage that successfully
and that quickly, I'm
like, no.
I know. Remember when computers doing anything actually useful were just Hollywood magic?
Exactly.
Now we have to clock them to the point where they're smarter than us because they can actually all do the stuff that we were hoping they could do in the 2000s.
Now they have to be sentient.
I mean, maybe the only difference in this is you've got Walter Goggins as a computer guy here. So maybe his sheer presence elevated the computer's performance ability.
That's right.
It's possible.
It's possible. So then Conklin's like, get everybody up. I want them all activated. And he's referring to the Treadstone guys. And Zorn's like, all of them? He's like, yeah, all of them.
Which makes me question. It doesn't seem like a big deal to activate 3 people.
Yeah, it's just 3 people. That's really not that many. It's 3 locations.
Right.
But
was that maybe the only one? Again, probably a little bit more exposition in here might have made that make a little more sense.
Right.
Because obviously we're not going to have like 12 people coming after Bourne. Although, how fun would that have been? If he just was like, it was just him walking into a bar like John
the
Wick.
Matrix.
Taking out Treadstone people left and right.
Killing a guy with a pencil and
right.
This, that, and the other. I do find it seems out of the ordinary for someone in Conklin's position to be so vocal about wanting to take down one of their own men. Does that seem peculiar to you at all?
Well, no, because his whole attitude is they're assets, they're not people.
Yeah, okay.
And he literally says it at the end. You're a $30 million
malfunctioning
asset or whatever it is, or weapon. Right?
Yeah.
He doesn't think of them as people.
Yeah.
So for him, let's dispose of this dysfunctional weapon by using the ones that are functional.
Yeah. So they activate the professor, a.k.a. Clive Owen.
And there was a deleted scene I saw where they also activated Marianne and the rest of the people on Gilligan's Island.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So...
So Gilligan in a different universe, we would have gotten Gilligan.
I'm pretty sure that's who Castle was. Actually, was Gilligan.
But the professor is teaching piano at the time,
right? Because that's his day job.
And this is the part of the graphics that I hate, is because it's superimposed on the actual screen as you're watching it. You're just seeing all this gobbledygook of like computers running through different things and prompts and yada, yada, yada. And the one that's the most egregious, though, is supposed to be on a guy's cell phone, but the motion tracking is fucked on it. And it slips. So it doesn't stay, it's not actually on the phone as the phone is moved in the shot.
Okay.
So I'm just like, the editor in me, I'm just like, really? This passed? This made it to screen. Okay. I guess motion tracking was that bad in 2002.
Apparently so.
Anyway, so then Mannheim is activated and Castell is activated in Rome. And then meanwhile, we're back to Bourne and Marie getting to know each other in the car. And Marie is just going on and on about how she got swindled out of her money, and Bourne's just sort of listening. He's not saying a word. And you can tell that she's been talking for quite some time about this thing. And he's just sort of like, you know, almost not even looking at her half the time.
Right, but clearly listening because she stops to realize she's been going on. He's like, no, keep going. Because they asked her the question, then what happened?
Right.
Right, so he's clearly been paying attention.
Right, and he's like, listening to you is relaxing. Yeah. It is kind of sweet in a way, like the way that he says that too. He's just sort of like, no, listening to you is relaxing. It's like, it's sort of hinting you into the fact that where this is going to all go.
Well, yeah, but they said such great chemistry all the way through it.
Yeah. I mean, It doesn't take long before you realize they both are genuinely very attracted to each other.
Right.
But she's trying to figure out what he's all about. And she's like, well, what kind of music do you like? And he's like, I don't know. Like, I don't remember. So
I don't even like music. I'm not sure. I could hate music. I might just be, a guy who likes the spoken word.
Yeah. I mean, if the Beatles come on, I might even put on earmuffs. Who knows?
Right.
So
that's really the only way to listen to them.
That's right. So he ends up saying, fuck it. And he tells her his story about how he doesn't know anything and he doesn't remember anything prior to 2 weeks ago. And she's just like, what?
Or she's like, good for you.
Yeah. God, I wish I could have that.
It's like, no, I literally don't remember anything from past 2 weeks ago.
We get a little cut back in here to Conklin, and they do the dreaded enhance, Jason.
Yes, they do.
Because they find some CC footage of them in the alleyway with making their deal, and they enhance the license plate. And I'm just like, oh, okay.
No, every time it's enhance.
Enhance. Well, it's funny, too, because Zorn's trying to talk to him, and he's like, shut up, enhance that.
Right. Oh, yeah. Chris Cooper's dismissiveness in this movie is at an epic level that you very rarely see.
Yeah, seriously. So then they do a whole background check on Marie, and it's brought to you by Walt, who looks very much like one of our good friends, Andrew.
Every time I see him.
Every time we see him, it's just like, that's Andrew. That's not Walt.
He just needs a jaunty cap and he's ready to go.
That's right. So
I do love the line in here where he's like, I don't like her. Conklin's just like, I don't like her.
Yeah.
Like, based off of what?
Off of nothing, dude.
You don't like anything. That's like saying, the sky is blue.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
It really felt that way. It was just so like, God, you grumpy dickwad. Like, what is wrong with you?
On Zorn, little thought balloon comes out of Zorn's like, well, I don't like you either.
Exactly. Yeah, they get like the little background check that she's like this drifter and that she just kind of lives here and there and everywhere and flits from one job to another and that sort of thing. Then we finally see Julia Stiles doing almost nothing, but put her on screen. Everybody knows who she is.
Put her in some headphones, have her look pretty, flip a couple switches.
Right. So she's in the safe house in Paris, receiving Bourne's file, and she's using Photoshop to make a wanted sign.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's funny that that's what Julia Stiles has been reduced to is somebody in a safe house using Photoshop to make something.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it just lends credence to the fact that she knew bigger things were coming.
Yeah. So then we get to this kind of cool scene where Bourne and Marie are at this diner, and he's talking about how he knows how to just sort of further elaboration on how certain things about his personality come out, but he still doesn't remember anything about his actual background or history.
Right.
So, they walk into the restaurant. He immediately knows that the guy at the bar can handle himself and that he's about 250 and that, this person is left-handed. And
the best place to get the gun is probably in the gray pickup truck out there.
Right.
I know all 6 license plates just having glanced at them. I know where all the exits are. She's like, I know where all the exits are. Like, yeah, but do you know where they all are? Because he literally knows every way to get out of there, including Bruce Willis style if he has to go that route.
Right. I do think this is one of the reasons, though, why the Bourne series is so good, is that it's not all plot. there is an element of that's baked into these movies that is personal, that is like emotional, where he's learning about himself. He's trying to find out more about himself, and you are experiencing his frustration in not knowing who he is as a person. And he's also discovering who he was as a person and going, I don't know if I even want to be that guy anymore.
Exactly. I mean, it's amazing what happens when you put some actual personal details and character development into a spy movie. It might almost revolutionize a franchise.
Well, it is funny. That was something I was going to get to in the end of our review, is just how influential this movie is. But I'll just put the seed there, and we'll talk about that at the end.
We'll get there.
I
suspect there's at least a few of our tens of listeners that were waiting for me to say that. So.
Yes. Yeah. So then they get back in the car and they drive, and Sleepy Bourne is sleepy.
He is. He finally sleeps.
And he's
comfortable enough to fall asleep in her car.
Yeah. Well, must be love. And that little clunker of a Mini just keeps on trucking.
Sure does.
That Mini is exceptional. Listen, I used to drive a new version of the Mini, and I don't think my version of the Mini could do what that Mini did in this movie.
Certainly not be as dependable as it.
Yeah, no shit. Holy cow. Anyway, so the next morning they're in Paris. They stop just as he's waking up, and it's sort of interesting that she does ask him, are you interested to find out whether or not you have a family? And he's like, yeah, I thought about that, and it's kind of interesting too, after watching this and then going to Wikipedia for the book and realizing that in the book, he did have this long background and almost Punisher-esque, I might even go so far as to say. The fact that he lost, like in the book, he lost his wife and his kids in some sort of thing, but I don't think they ever dive into his background in the movies ever
at all
in any of them,
because I get the feeling that loner with a cause kind of thing is a very 70s concept, right? That's where the Punisher came out of, was the 70s.
Yeah.
If you've ever read Without Remorse, it's the Tom Clancy story about John Clark, who was kind of a secondary figure in all the Jack Ryan books, but was this badass CIA operative guy that basically had been in so long he was on security duty.
Right.
But Without Remorse talks about his story, and he's a Vietnam vet that hooks up with this chick who gets murdered by a drug cartel, and then he goes and seeks revenge against those people. And then the CIA is kind of like, well, he's pretty good at this stuff. We might be able to use him for some things. And they fake his own death, and off he goes. But I feel like that book, which was written in like 1989, 1990, I think, something like that, he was really paying homage to the 70s type of thriller in that book. So I don't know that one has as much cachet in the 21st century in terms of, you could have a sad backstory, but I think making him more of an international man of mystery.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's one of the reasons why Bond is actually successful, is because you don't know anything about him.
Right.
You literally don't know a thing about Bond for the most part.
Except that when he actually falls in love, they die. I mean, you do know that.
Yeah. But that's only after repeated outings with the gentleman.
Very, very little backstory until the Daniel Craig movies, and even then pretty vague.
Yeah,
really only
vague.
Only to kind of determine the link between him and Blofeld. That was the only thing it really served.
Yeah, but yeah, after that, then they start heading into Paris and Paris proper, and that's kind of when we get into Act 2.
Indeed. So they come in the little chugga-lugga-lugga-lug red Mini, pull over, and they're driving past Jason Bourne's apartment.
Yeah.
And
well, that's me.
Nothing like, damn, I have a nice house.
Right? In downtown Paris, like a sweet looking flat.
I mean, that had to be like, what, a 3 or 4 bedroom apartment on like the third or fourth floor of the place or whatever.
I mean, I can't, calculate inflation between 2002 and now, but I'm guessing by today's standards, you're looking at, that's like a $10 million flat.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. And the fact that Marie's reaction to it is so not what you would think somebody like her would like, you live there?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But he has her pull off to the side in this little side road so that they can get out. And they have this kind of weirdly awkward exchange as a goodbye. But was it a goodbye? Because see, the second watching I got on and I started thinking she wanted to go up. He wanted her to go up.
Well, and she even says, she even is like, well, if you need to go anywhere else,
Well,
and just sort of hints that like she doesn't have to like just disappear right now.
Right.
And he's clearly cluing into that. And he's like, well, you could come up, or whatever he says. I forget.
Yeah. I kind of felt like that was the intent. And then it got kind of lost in all of the sort of like nervousness between two people that have the hots for each other.
I liked the awkwardness,
actually. I did too. Like I thought it was very cute, and very unexpected in a film like this.
But it was realistic though, too. It's like, that's how real shit happens in life when you're with somebody that you fancy and you think they fancy you, but you're not quite sure, but you're just kind of testing the waters.
I mean, should I ask her if she wants to come up to my place? I mean,
it seems kind of...
I feel like I'm getting the vibe.
Seems a little early, but I'm getting vibe. I don't know.
I could be dead tomorrow, and this chick's kind of hot. I mean, what the worst thing... He's in the perfect situation. What's the worst thing she's going to do? Right?
Yeah.
Leave? Okay, fine.
Well, and then she does the whole like, well, you'll just forget about me.
And the best line in the movie, how could I forget about you? The only person I know.
Right. Such a good line.
It's so endearing, but also very, very true.
Yeah. Oh, but coming up is actually, I think, my favorite line in the entire movie, just because there are moments in this movie that are funny.
And I feel like most of them were not scripted.
I think they were scripted, but I think that I'm guessing it was like those last minute changes that they made.
Maybe.
Because I wouldn't expect somebody like Franca to come up with this on the spot where they're at the door and Bourne hits the doorbell to his own flat and she goes, guess you're not home.
Right. And the funny thing was Matt Damon decides not to play it by laughing or smiling at it.
Right. He's just stone-faced about it.
He's in full assessment mode at this point. But anyway, yeah, so they get to the door. Obviously can't get in, but he starts banging on the door, and the landlady / I don't know,
whatever she is, yeah,
comes over with her French accent. Oh, and he's all like, yeah. That's me. I'm Jason Bourne.
That's me.
I think I lost my keys. Can I get another one? She was like, oui. Here's your key. Off you go. Okay, it wasn't really like that. But anyway, so they get up to Bourne's apartment, and like I said, it's palatial.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it even had a real kitchen in it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
it feels very bachelor patty, though.
It does, because
there's like weights.
Yeah, the weights in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And very sparse.
Yeah.
It almost had that sort of feel.
Hardly any furniture.
Well, and I think that was the point they're trying to get to, that, Bourne doesn't spend a whole lot of time here. And when he does, he's probably just sitting in a corner waiting to be activated.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, it's total sausage fest in there, to be perfectly honest with you. So he's going around looking for clues. I think I'm in the shipping business, he says.
Yeah.
Really? Do you work for Universal Exports? And then she's all like, do you mind if I use the bathroom? Which was funny to me because I thought she's going to go pee. And then she goes in and she's getting ready to take a bath, pulling the boots off, brushing her teeth.
Right. She's doing the whole thing.
I'm like,
she's trying to gussy up.
I'm like, well, she's marking her territory early, I guess. I don't know what's happening here.
She going to leave a toothbrush?
Yeah. I mean,
leave one of her toothbrushes. Oh, I forgot my toothbrush at your house.
And then, so she starts complaining about the fact that the hot water there's no hot water coming through the building. Right. And then,
when his spidey senses kick in.
Well, yeah, because he hits redial on his phone to see what's going on, and it turns out it's the hotel. So he starts looking for the John Michael Caine thing.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder if he was going to go through the whole list. Well, he asked for himself, right?
That's
Jason
right.
Bourne first.
Yeah, he asked for himself first.
He asked for himself first, and they have nobody there. And then he asks about John Michael Caine. And they're like, oh, hold on, please. And then you get the hotel manager, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
So sorry, but he is dead. He died. We do not know how. Right? And so he gets out the phone with that, but then his spider sense starts tingling.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Diddle. She hits him with the cold water thing. Is like, just stay in the bathroom. I'll see about the hot water in the kitchen.
Grabbing a knife.
Yep, still cold in here too. And then she comes walking in. I like how he just subtly drops the knife.
Yeah.
As she walks in like, oh, I'm not doing nothing. How you doing? How's it going?
Yeah, I know. That was such an awkward little moment.
Yeah.
I'm just like, do something. Like, I thought it was almost weird that he didn't kind of clue her into that he suspected somebody was there.
Well, I just don't think he was able to verbalize it because he didn't know. The spider sense was tingling, but there was no brain there to interpret what the tingles were. And then the tingles come straight through the damn window.
Which scared...
I know, it's the worst jump scare.
Like when I watched this, my entire family, and by my entire family, it's my wife and a bunch of animals. But anyway, I digress. We're all sitting there in the room and I'm watching this. When that crash happened, everyone in the room jumped, like including myself.
Same here. My wife jumped. My cat, who was sitting on top of the couch, was like, what was that? My cat, who's sitting next to me at the bottom of the couch, is like, what the fuck? Right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, dude, turn down the TV. That was loud.
Yeah.
I'm like, it gets louder, trust me. Because the sound on my version was not great. It kept, the balance was not very good. So loud was super loud.
Yeah, they definitely played the quiet, loud game.
Yeah. So, so in comes Castell with his frosted tips or whatever he had going on there, rocking the Mac 10 or whatever. It might have been an MP5 or an MP3. I couldn't tell what it was, but it's a brrr, and all he's doing is shooting all the people on the next floor.
Right.
Because the gun is not going perpendicular parallel to how he's aiming
so
it
everyone
at all.
upstairs is dead now.
I mean, I thought it would have been funny if they shot down, and that's how the lady that got down at the end.
Oh, God.
Because I couldn't sort out in my head why he shot her in the head, then went back outside, scaled the roof, and then came in through the window. Yeah. It almost would have made more sense if she'd been like dead by unintentional fire.
Yeah.
But whatever. The gun completely ineffective. Then we start this really badass fight scene.
Holy cow, yeah.
Which is super intense and yet not fluffy at all.
No, it felt very raw.
Yeah, and Matt Damon goes into full zoned out fighter mode.
Yeah.
And then we're just like, it's all slappy, deflecty fighting.
Right.
The knife comes out. Marie's like, oh, Jason. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm awesome. I know. She had to break the fourth wall to tell everybody how awesome I was in that movie. But then, he's going with the knife. And my favorite one in any of those fights is the kick blocking.
Yes.
Right?
The pen moment is just...
Oh, I know. And then he just, I'm going to disembowel you with a spoon. Pen will do fine. And yet, right into the arm, knife comes down.
Just so... Like, the placement is everything.
Right.
The placement of where that pen is makes anybody who watches that cringe, because it's like when you go to the hospital and they
put an IV into you right in the same
right
spot.
In the worst place that you could ever want an IV, and that's why everybody sees that and goes, "Oh God,
yeah."
Really?"
And then what
pen?
does he do? He yanks it out.
He doesn't even, he slowly pulls it. It's so gross how he pulls it out, just drags it out. Like, oh God.
Yeah. And then, oh my gosh. Then the coup de grace, he gets in there, breaks his knee.
Yeah.
Breaks his arm. Gives him a couple of love taps just to be on the safe side of it. And the guy's on the ground. I mean, he's done.
Yeah.
We think.
And I love how, as this is like, once he falls to the floor, and he throws the bag to Marie, and Marie...
Yeah, he said, go through it. Tell me what's in it.
She finds the wanted thing and is so pissed off that she wants to beat his
she
ass.
starts going... And he's like, no, let me handle the interrogation part of this. Just see what's in the bag. But it was such a great little moment for her character.
Yeah.
Because she never really played a damsel in distress in this at all.
No, not at all.
Although she never got placed in the damsel in distress mode, really.
Yeah, thankfully.
Which was nice. It was a nice breath of fresh air that she was really more of a partner.
Well, and half the time she was helping him in ways that he couldn't even fathom.
Right, particularly in the scene when we go to the hotel.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact she was just, why am I in here? And she's going to go start stomping on the guy too. And then I guess here's the thing that confuses me the most. Obviously he gets up and then he jumps out the other window. Hey, wasn't there already an open window? Save the property damage, man. That's very inconsiderate. But... why did he kill himself?
I don't understand that. Maybe that's part of their programming too, is to not not divulge any information. And so the only way that he knew that he could not divulge stuff was to simply die.
But
it's like the 2002 version of biting down on a
cyanide pill.
Yeah.
But then why didn't the professor do the same thing? He gave everything up.
That's true. Who knows?
So it seemed weird that
different software.
I mean, he knew he was dying, and the other guy was not dying.
Yeah.
Bourne had effectively killed him with a shotgun, but he still gave out a ton of information. It would have been nice maybe to see Clive Owen struggling with telling him that before he went. Although it would have really ruined that really good performance he gave. So I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
But it's just weird. He takes a nosedive. Whoop,
Yeah.
And Bourne's like, well, we're blown. We're out of here.
Yeah.
And Maria's gone into some sort of semi-catatonic state at this point.
Yeah.
So he's almost literally dragging her down the stairs to get out of the building.
Right.
And then she pukes, which is great.
Right. When she sees the dead old woman.
Dead old lady. And then I love how he's like, don't look when they walk out to see the body. And she immediately looks. And then there was the old guy.
The old guy that's just like staring at him as
they're going. And I'm like, that's Donald Sutherland. Oh! But he didn't do that. So they get over into the Mini and they're going to escape, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we cut back to Julia Stiles in a safe house. And
you don't even need to call her Nicolette. It's just Julia Stiles.
It's just Julia Stiles.
Because she does so very little that you might as well.
She doesn't even have a character. She's clearly there to be Julia Stiles, right?
Right.
So Julia Stiles goes back to the safe house. Or we go back to the safe house. Julia Stiles is there. She tells Conklin that Castle was killed.
I find it interesting that she basically blames it on Bourne. You know what I mean? Like, she just sort of assumes that Bourne killed him because he killed himself.
Right.
So I'm wondering where she got the report from. Was she there on the scene?
Well,
was she staking it out? Like, how, like, it was just sort of interesting.
My guess she gets it from a police report that says someone either fell or was thrown from a window.
Okay.
So my assumption would be the same thing I just said. Why did he throw himself out a window?
Right.
Bourne must have done it.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's probably like stuff on the cutting room floor about Castle's motivation for stuff. And it was, Conklin's like, you get one more chance, Blondie, or you're out of the program. And you know what that means. I don't know. But the fact that Julia Stiles was confused about it too, I think illustrates my point perfectly. So anyway, so now Conklin's aware that, oh shit, Bourne's born.
Right.
Bourne got a Bourne, yo. So we cut back to Marie's car, and Bourne's kind of like, all right, I gotta hide the money because I'm not really sure why he needs to hide the money. Maybe you just need to, I don't know, use the 7,000 bags she has back here to split the difference between the two of you.
Maybe he's sensing that there's a very good chance that they'd be caught and he doesn't want to give up everything. I don't know.
I guess I felt like he was trying to get rid of it because the bag was a burden.
It could just be, honestly, a vehicle for the simmering argument that's about to happen.
Well, yeah, maybe on creative writing.
Yeah.
It is Hollywood. But anyway, so he's going to go do the classic hide it in a train station locker trick.
Right.
Like you do.
Like you do.
I mean, let's be honest, guys. 30% of all lists are found in train stations somewhere.
That's right.
This is why I never use train station lockers, to be honest with you, because we all know how I feel about lists. But he goes, I'm going to go hide the bag. I think he also was doing some scouting to see if there was an opportunity for them to leave.
Yeah.
And maybe he was thinking, I'm going to just leave her there, and then I'll get her the key with the money to pay her back. I don't know.
Well, she even says that when he does come back. She's like, I just assumed you were going to leave anyway.
Assumed you were going to go. But he asked her to stay there, and she's being kind of sourpuss at that point. And he comes back, and she's not in the car, right? And he's like, what the fuck? I told you. And then she comes back with a fifth. A bourbon.
Like you do.
I feel like
it's a stressful situation,
she said
man.
I needed a drink, right?
Yeah.
But she came back, right? So,
no harm, no foul.
No harm, no foul. So they get in and then have this little exchange about, you probably need to go. Here, you take my passport, go to the police. You'll be fine.
Yeah, just tell them the truth.
Because where I'm going, there's no coming back from that, is basically what he's saying. But it's worth noting it's much sweeter and more emotionally invested than that.
Right. He clearly doesn't want...
He doesn't want her to leave.
He doesn't want her to leave, but he also doesn't want harm to come to her.
Yeah, because he's already kind of gotten attached to her.
Yeah.
Because she's literally the only person he knows.
Right.
And she's cute.
And she's really cute.
So I could see why he would not want to do that.
The German accent plays. I'm just saying.
Kind of.
A little bit.
Does. And the little dimple in the chin. But anyway, as they're having this conversation... Police officers are showing up in various forms. First in twos, then in fours.
Vultures
coming in. Cars, motorcycles. And Bourne is like, okay, well, it's time to shit or get off the pot.
Yeah.
And she's all like, seatbelts.
Click.
Click. And then I love his little comment. You take care of this car? Because I noticed the tires were a little squishy on the way in.
She's like, well, it kind of goes to one
pulls
side.
to the right. Right. And that line felt like it belonged in a Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah.
For sure. But it was just kind of funny because, I mean, it didn't really matter how he was driving that car. Anything, as long as it didn't break down.
Yeah.
Which is why I point out it probably ran better than a newer Mini does.
For real.
With its little hamster engine in it. Right?
Yeah.
But she gets a seatbelt click and we are off. And I know we've had some pretty cool looking small car chases in the last 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. Just in the
this
past.
one was great though.
I like this one because it's not a souped up Fiat with a special, designed by the IMF.
Right.
It's just a regular old Mini.
Right. We're not trying to jump it over anything.
This is a bare bones car chase.
We're going to drive down some stairs, yes, but it's going to look sloppy, like we're almost going to fall.
Yeah.
And it looked like
Marie looked like she swallowed her tongue when she saw where they were going.
Right. And I just, I love car stunts. Car stunts are my favorite kind of stunt at anything.
Yeah.
But I like the ones that seem more natural in terms of what they're doing. So and I know we have this contention with Spectre with the car chase in Rome.
Right.
But the car chase itself, regardless of the logic behind it, was such a good, simple car chase.
Yeah.
No splody, boom, boom, jumpy, crash, whee.
Right.
It's just a honest to God, like the one in Ronin is the one I always kind of go back to. Or if you want to go back further than that, Bullet, which is probably the prototype for that long car chase scene. I just like it where the cars do what cars are supposed to do.
Yeah.
And don't do anything that they're not supposed to do.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I put this in the notes as a question, but now I think I've answered it as we're talking it out here. Because I put, why does Paris make for such great car chases? And I think I've figured it out. I like car chases that are in close quarters.
Yes.
And the narrower the streets, the better it feels to me when I see car chases. So if you're hauling ass down narrow streets and there's not a lot of room, I think that's why the Rome chase bothers me in Spectre so much, is it's wide open.
Right.
Whereas in Paris, it's like, you got no room. He's driving down the sidewalk at one point, then he goes down the stairs. Like, it is, he's fitting in the smallest possible place.
Right.
To the point where only the Mini can fit in certain areas and only the motorcycle can stay after him.
Exactly. So a good car chase, the scenery is as important to that as the car chase itself.
Yeah.
Like another good example, Bullet is in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So you get Mission Hill, right? And it's
yeah.
And then you got tires squealing in some more bigger open areas in it. Sure. But you're really allowing the city to be an active participant in what's happening.
Yeah.
And this is where I kind of feel like most James Bond ones get in the way. It's a vehicle to get to whatever the stunt is. And I'll say most of the Mission Impossible ones, other than when they're on motorcycles, typically follow that. The big flashy stuff isn't the driving scene. The big flashy stuff is Tom hanging off of a satellite, which I guess is what's going to be next.
Yeah.
Because how much higher can he go?
Right.
There's Tom Cruise hanging off the moon. You can't see him, though, because he's so small.
And that's why the Rogue Nation car chase is so good.
Yes.
Because, again, narrow little streets, and it's about using the environment that they're in.
Yeah.
And it's not leading up to a big stunt.
No.
In those particular cases.
No. So, yeah. But, I mean, it's just fun to watch a teeny little car with no horsepower getting around solely on its maneuverability, really.
Right.
And I'm telling you what, those axles were shot by the time they pulled into the garage.
Yeah.
The irony was, did you notice there's another red Mini in the garage?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, it was almost the exact, although who can tell? Minis all look the same for 40 years.
This is true.
But it looked like it was literally the same car. And I really was disappointed when the cops find it, that they weren't like
looking at the other one going, wait, which one? Did they switch?
But they did have the license plate. So
yes.
I'm sure the one that was there had a French license plate, whereas the other one clearly had a Swiss one.
Sure.
So is she from Switzerland then? Not Germany? Now I'm really confused.
I will say we get a early Mission Impossible Tom Cruise motorcycle stunt in this chase. Yeah, when he hits the car and flies over the handlebars. Like, I'm like, I saw it immediately. I
did the same thing.
I was the meme. I was the
you were Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Snapping and whistling.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was when I saw it. I was just like, holy shit, that's where he probably got it from.
Even the face shield flew off of his helmet. So, he's a studier of art.
That's right.
That Tom Cruise is. So anyway, so they pull into the garage, and he's basically giving her the Terminator speech, right? Can't be reasoned with, can't be bargained with.
Right.
But, you can never come back here.
I just like how long the pause is, though.
Right.
Like, they just,
because
they're so overwhelmed from the chase itself,
right,
that they just sit there for a second.
Yes.
And it's like,
they take a beat or two.
It's like, we can never come back to this car.
Right. And she's like, uh-huh. And he's like, I'm going to wipe it down. And I'm like, did you need to wipe it down? Because they know it's your car. They have the driver's or the license plate on the back.
They clearly know.
But it's almost like he has this OCD need to clean everything because he makes a point of it everywhere.
Everywhere.
And then she makes a joke about it afterwards.
It's just great.
Can never come back to this car. So we cut to Wombosi. Hey, remember him from the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, that guy.
He's basically the MacGuffin in the movie, right? He comes back to all of his children playing in the front office of the morgue. Which even my wife was like, do they let kids in morgues in Paris? I'm like, apparently they do here.
It's a thing. It's fine.
And
there's a play. There's like a play area in the morgue.
They got
it's like the McDonald's Playland type thing.
They've got the little Lego table with the beads that are on the hoops and some highlights to do the searches on. Because kids don't need to see death.
That's right.
Nobody wants kids to see
Nobody
death.
wants to see.
But anyway, so Wombosi comes in with his retinue, and they go in, and I don't know whether they've paid. I'm guessing they paid, considering how pissed off the coroner gets with the second attempt.
Yes.
To see the body. You don't ever actually see the body, but he reaches into the body.
He feels the back.
Right.
To check for bullet holes.
Yeah, and I guess I wanted to see something more like him lifting the body up to check, because it looked like they had the guy on the slab face down. And maybe they do that in France. I don't know.
I mean, maybe for once, the director of said spy movie wanted to be subtle, as opposed to if anybody else, if McQuarrie had this, the moment they opened up the zipper, you would see bullet hole wounds in a back.
Right.
And he'd be like, or not.
Right.
In this case, or not. And he'd be like, that's not him.
Right. For me, it just felt funny from the standpoint of, pretty sure we don't store dead bodies with the heads down because there's holes for shit to leak out that way, if nothing else.
Right.
But he makes I guess he did make a very convincing attempt to me of indicating that was not the guy that shot him.
Right.
So that tells me over the body looked like Michael Caine. Like they literally in the Bourne universe went out and killed Michael Caine and put him in there. I hate to say it, Mr. Bruce, but I'm dead. I'm never coming back. And I didn't get shot in the back this time. I got shot in the front, which is how he knew it wasn't me. So they're stupid and they didn't do their job right. Anyway, so Wombosi leaves, I'm assuming the kid's with him, and then we cut to Julia Stiles, who might be named Nicolette in this movie, but we don't really know.
We just know it's Julia Stiles.
You can call her what you want, but it's just Julia Stiles. And she tells Conklin that Wombosi didn't buy it. Of course he did. You didn't put bullet holes in his back. But I guess maybe they didn't know he had bullet holes in his back because they don't know what
That's true. We didn't know why he fell off the boat or what.
Yeah, they don't really have the
backstory
backstory on it. So they didn't know. They just killed some guy and threw him in there. I hope they didn't just kill some guy and throw him in there. Like the guy was actually dead before, but
it was Castell.
Yeah, there you go. Castell was reporting. And somehow Wombosi knows. I mean, how does he?
I don't understand this at all. Like, how is he immediately able to listen in on a transmission between Julia Stiles and Conklin in a car? He's in the car. This is like. He's got some good men working for him. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm just saying he's got a lot of intel. He's going to put it in the book.
Good tech.
Particularly for the time, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, Conga sends a new message to the professor that he needs to take out Wombosi, although we don't know that's what's happening yet.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff that they're getting messages, but we don't know what's happening.
Right. And then eventually you find out later why.
Right.
They just show up somewhere and it's like, oh, they told him to go there.
Precisely. So Bourne and Marie end up getting into a hotel somewhere. We missed that little part in the scene when they're in the garage. It's like, do you have a scarf?
Oh, yeah.
Right. And she's like, oh, because of my hair. right? So I like how they're vibing on that level.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
because she's like, okay, I get it. Because that's the whole thing. Because you're dead, right?
Yeah.
Later on, which we'll get to and everything. But it's even, looks like you're not home, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of the whole character has it through the throughput. But they get to the hotel that they're staying in, and there's this really kind of sexy moment where Bourne's washing her hair from the hair coloring.
Yeah.
Right, you know, and I just
very
like,
sensual.
It is, and it's like very unnecessary. I don't know about you, but anytime my wife colors her hair, I'm not allowed anywhere in the immediate vicinity.
Yeah.
So maybe not the most realistic part of the movie.
Yeah. That usually only goes the other way. Like if he was getting his hair dyed,
because guys don't know how to do it, right?
Right, because we're dumb.
Right.
Which is true, honestly. Like until the last time I dyed my hair, which was granted it was 20 years ago, but when I did,
I'll just say for the record, only God dyes my hair, and right now he's dyeing it all white. So yeah, but I mean it's obviously leading into where it's going.
Yeah,
and so it's done. She dries her hair.
I just think it's really funny though when you see him cutting the hair. He's just grabbing, the back and just chopping rough with a scissors. But when he's done, it looks
fabulous,
perfect.
Absolutely,
it's like a little longer in front, so
yes.
it looks.
Oh yeah,
the bangs in front look nice to sort of round out her face, and it's like a perfect little pixie cut now. And
and I really wish they'd let him go full hairdresser there. I don't know how I know how to cut hair like this, but I know how to do it.
It's one of the skills that I
don't know who I am, but look how fabulous you look. You know, if there was ever a parody of this movie, that is exactly what would happen. Right.
I don't know anything about my background from 2 weeks ago, but man, I can make you look fabulous.
And more fabulous because let's face it, you're already pretty fabulous.
That's right.
But anyway, so they do the haircut, everything's done. And then I love the little thing where he's going to try and go get around her.
Yeah.
To go get to whatever he's going to. And she kind of blocks him to the left. And then he goes to the right and she blocks him to the right. And then she spins him around a little. And she gets just a teeny tiny little soft kissy kiss on his lips. The whole thing is just very believable.
Yeah. Very believable.
Right. It's not overly sexual. It's not overly erotic.
No.
But it's just like, because I am one of those people who doesn't like the whole hard kisses knocking shit off of furniture while our clothes are flying off kind of thing. It doesn't do anything for me.
Right.
From I believe that could happen kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. This one just felt very real.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why for me it actually kind of affected me. I'm like, whoa, this is hot.
Yeah.
You know, because you could tell it was like it felt like a real vibe, like a real thing going on.
Yeah. They obviously, like I said, there was some serious chemistry there between the actors. Whether that was all acting or not, I don't know. I'm sure that Matt Damon didn't have to act a whole lot.
Sure.
Unless she was like, Scarlett Johansson or Jennifer Lawrence and eating anchovies before the scenes to fuck with him. But, I mean, the scene just played out. You always kind of get, I kind of get these things where I get extreme danger kind of leads into the whole Florence Nightingale thing where the extremity of the situation gets people into it.
It's like when Bond and Madeline Swan are on the train in Spectre, and right after they boot what's his face out the
Dave Bautista, off he goes.
Off he goes. It's like, well, what now? I guess we'll rip each other's clothes off and have sex.
Right. And I mean, Leah sure.
Right.
But I don't know. I guess it just lends to the whole thing of that Jason Bourne is not an action hero.
Right.
He may have been an action-y person before,
right?
But now he's just a dude that could be action-y. And
that knows how to be action-y, but he doesn't really know who or what he is.
Right. So he's just reacting with that raw emotion of a guy who's like, this girl, I'm really attracted to her. She's really smart. Okay, sure. Because she initiates it. It's not him.
Right.
Right.
I think that's half of why it works.
Exactly. She's playing the aggressor because he can't. He's too caught up in I don't know who I am. I'm like, well, do you know what you want? Because everybody in the theater knows what you want, Matt Damon. So anyway, there's some smoochy booching, and then, we get to the scene of her waking up in the bedroom.
Right.
And he's clearly gone out, got new clothes, and then while she was still sleeping, cleaned the entire apartment, probably staring at her the whole time. Because that's not creepy. And she wakes up and he tells her, so I've already cleaned the place. I really think it's important that we get rid of all evidence of where we're at going forward. And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
She didn't care.
Yeah.
Can I get up or will I leave footprints? Smart ass. Right.
Yeah, with a little grin on her
Right.
face.
No, of course you can get up and go and everything. And
He turns into a total dork.
He really
He's
does.
He's so smitten. He's like, oh, no, it's fine.
Well, but
it's fine. You can walk around.
Right. And he's trying to emphasize that we don't know there. It's like, oh, yeah, because you're dead. Right.
Right.
And then she saunters into the bathroom. But I have to point out again, he pulls out a full Punisher kit. He gets her this really nice, fashionable outfit with the leather bell bottoms, and she's just rocking this really very fashionable look. He's got the black tactical sweater, pants, boots.
I mean, it's like, well, I know what you're about to do.
Right.
She's just looking great.
She's chic. You look like you should have like a Black Flag t-shirt on underneath you. At least if you'd leaned into the whole punker thing, I might have been okay with it. But, but it was just, it's so silly. But that scene was just so cute. So then we cut from that wonderful scene to the professor out there with his high-powered sniper rifle with gigantic silencer. Wambassi's coming down, beating his chest. I am the one. I am the one. I will do it because I will do the thing. Pooh, pooh, pooh. Dead Wambassi.
Yeah. He's like, they should be afraid of me.
Right.
Boom.
And then
done.
Not
no.
Dead. And then Clive Owen, man, just pulling the silencer off and packing it up, getting ready to go. All business.
Yeah.
As he walks along from there. So we cut back to Bourne and Marie getting ready to get... So Bourne is determined that they need to go find out more information from John Michael Caine in the hotel.
Right.
He's trying to follow the clues to get where he needs to go. So he set up this whole elaborate plan. and it's funny. It illustrates how his brain works.
Yeah.
And he's like, so what are we going to do? How are we going to follow things?
Yeah, he's like quizzing her almost.
Right.
Like trying to teach her Spycraft 101.
Right. It's like, this is what he knows. And so she walks in. And it's funny. Like the whole time she's kind of like, okay, yeah, I get it. No problem.
Yeah.
She walks in. She tries to do what he's doing, but she makes eye contact with the guy at the front desk.
Who clearly thinks that she's cute because she is.
Meanwhile, we cut back to Bourne, who's trying to call. Her instruction is to go into the hotel, go halfway in, make an assessment of what the situation looks like.
So many details that he imposes on her.
Right.
Like, now count the number of steps.
Count the number of steps it takes you to get in.
Like all this shit that I would forget everything in the first 2 steps into the building.
But the main instruction is go halfway in, get the assessment. I'm going to call the lobby phone. Then you'll give me the report on the lobby phone and we'll decide how to move forward.
Right.
But so we cut to him in the phone booth. Again, remember phone booths, kids? And it's just ring, 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 ring. Then she knocks on the door of the phone booth.
And she's right there.
Yeah. And she's like, are you okay? Like, yeah, I got the information. You got the information? Yeah. I saw the guy over there. He smiled at me. I flirted. And you just got it? Well, I told him I was your personal assistant. And he's just dumbfounded. Like, oh, yeah. Oh, that was really smart.
Yeah, that works.
Well, that was a great idea, right? Oh man, I guess maybe I'm taking this whole spy thing too seriously.
Well, and for a brief moment, we've landed in romantic comedy.
We have.
like
just for a slight little turn.
For like 5 seconds, we're in romantic comedy land, and then we're out again.
Right, but I mean, clearly establishing that she's operating with a full sensibility of her own.
Yeah.
And can accomplish things without having
has her own agency. She's
right.
she doesn't have to be told everything to do. She can figure some shit out.
Exactly. And I mean, it goes right hand in hand with her wanting to kick the assassin in the head for getting information. She's kind of ruthless and clever in her own way.
Yeah.
Which is great because you need somebody to drive the narrative along that actually has a clue of what's kind of going on.
Well, and also has kind of it creates a sense of humor to the movie. Without her in it, it's just all action. It's like part of the reason why this movie works so well and why people love it so much is that element of humor and that element of humanness.
Yes. None of it is over the top.
Yeah.
It's not funny to be funny. It's funny because in the moment, something like that would be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they go off happy because she got the paperwork that he needed to have. We kick over back to Conklin's office where Brian Cox just comes in stomping all surly, like, I don't care, shut up, I'm going in to talk to this guy. Because I'm Brian Cox, I can do that.
I can do that.
And
you see me in many things.
And it's me because I don't ever change. So he goes in and basically he's like, Wombasi's been assassinated. Do you know anything to have anything to do with this again? And Cox is like, no, we think it's Bourne. We think he recalibrated and he's completing his mission, and we think he's going to come in when he's done. Yeah. It's just such a Trumpy thing. We think he did the mission.
Oh, my God.
And we think he's going to come in when he's done.
Oh, God.
About how long do you think it's going to be?
And quite honestly, just like that person you just referenced, I am shocked when anyone believes him.
Right?
Yeah.
Abbott did not believe him.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just like, well, I can't prove that you're lying, but I know you're fucking lying.
Well, and Zorn wasn't helping any. Yeah, it's like usually 24 hours is usually about normal.
Zorn,
it's like sometimes it could be longer, but usually 24 hours is a good estimate.
Zorn's a worse liar than Conklin is.
Right. But I mean, I don't think we ever think he's not going to be.
Yeah.
Conklin's the blowhard. He's just really trying to be a good agent.
Yeah.
And Conklin's just like, no, I know everything. I'm in charge here. I'm the captain here. But anyway, so for some reason, Abbott goes along with it. I don't think he's 100% convinced.
Yeah.
But what else is he going to do? The dude's already dead.
Well, this is probably the beginning of his machination.
He's already
moving the gears.
He's putting parts in motion to resolve this to his own satisfaction because he's lost faith in Conklin's ability to do it. So then we have a quick cut to the garage where the Mini's parked, and the cop going, there's no prints. I mean, so
it feels...
But who cares?
Right, exactly. I'm like, why did they even need to show that? Like, I don't know how that adds or...
They literally had a picture in the police car of the two suspects.
Right. Why do you need the car?
Why do you need the fingerprints?
I mean, unless they want proof.
Proof of what? What has he done? We don't know why they're... I'm assuming they're chasing him at the aegis of the CIA.
Yeah.
Through whatever agencies that they're going through. But what has he done? He hasn't killed anybody. He's maybe broken some vehicle laws. I'll grant you that.
He broke an arm and a leg.
How do we know that didn't happen when the guy fell out of the building?
That's true. Could have just been a suicidal guy.
So why they need this information?
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me at all. But there it is.
Yeah.
We show Bourne calling the numbers. I want to say Jan Michael Vincent every time I say this. John Michael Caine. I just need to do it in a voice. It'd be fun. Called. So he's got the list of numbers from the hotel, and he's going to see where was he trying to get a hold of from the hotel. And he's got like a diving companies in there. I know you're a dive shop, but where are you located?
Right.
The boat company that does the yachts. So he's getting the whole spiel of he's
getting a vibe as to what he
was trying to do as Kane.
Yeah.
And he wasn't looking for a sled. I do know that.
That's true.
There was no sled named Rosebud for this Kane. So in case anybody's wondering, that did not happen. Clive Owen gets yet another new message.
Yes.
Good job killing the guy that Bourne couldn't kill. Please go kill Bourne. That's basically what we know that message says eventually.
Yeah.
Bourne goes to the shipping company or the boat company, and they're like, look at the high spender. He's back. Are you still interested in buying the boat because it's still available? Just the funniest thing ever. I hope that's what it's like at real boat dealerships, but since I've never bought a boat, I've certainly never bought a yacht. I've looked at some boats before, but I've never been to a yacht shop. So
right. I would hope that that's the kind of welcome you get because
when I went to the only Ferrari dealership in the immediate area of the undisclosed location, I did not get treated that way. Now, maybe it's because I walked in wearing blue jeans and a T-shirt that had Spider-Man in sort of a Vitruvian Man kind of thing. I don't know.
No watch on.
There's no watch. Ben and I were discussing before the podcast the importance of the watch that you wear and the story behind it in order to convince somebody you can afford to drive a car that you can't actually drive. Because I have someone that literally based his entire persona on that watch and effectively got us into some badass cars in the 80s. I'm not going to lie. But I was not wearing a watch.
We're not saying that you could go drive a really nice car if you have a nice watch that you can either borrow or purchase, but...
It literally unlocks a lot of doors, even if it doesn't have a laser or a garrote.
Correct.
Is what I'm saying.
That's correct.
So, anyway, he goes, he finds out it's a boat. He sees a connection with Wombasi's boat. And so they're at the diner. He's saying, so I'm kind of figuring all this out, and this is what I was doing, and I'm so very excited how clever I am. And she's like, yeah, the dude you're trying to play, he's in the morgue, and maybe we should go check that out. He's like, oh yeah, maybe we should go check that out. So we cut to them going to the morgue, and this is the thing. I mean, so it's kind of a trope that you could pay somebody in the morgue enough money to go see a body. I've seen it in a ton of movies.
Sure, yeah.
So the guy's like, oh, I can't possibly do it. And he flips out another Franklin. And yeah, he's here. And then he's like, and we need to see the body. And he's like, well, we can't possibly do it. And then he throws out 2 Franklins.
Right.
I feel like American money is the best bribery money.
Oh, yeah.
And Benjamin
Absolutely.
Franklin is probably the best American figure of history to be waving around at people.
Well, I believe he has French roots, too.
Oh, well, they love him in France. That's true. But they also like Jefferson, and the $2 bill ain't going to go that far. I'm just saying.
Yes.
So anyway, they go in, and there's nobody in there at all. And then the boss, who's really pissed off that his technician keeps letting people in, whether it's because he doesn't want them in or he's not cutting him any slices of the pie, I don't know. But they're like, yeah, somebody came and took him. Who? The police. What police? Right? But how does the tech not know that there's not a body in there?
Right?
Is there not like an inventory?
Or maybe he knew and he just didn't care.
Could
He's
be.
just like, well, you're going to find this out, and I'm not going to tell you anything.
That's $200. I'm good. So the director or the coroner is making a huge deal about not being signed in the book. And, and then
that moment is so good.
It's like, you need to sign me a book? I will sign a book. It's like Sala in it's Sala in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Newspapers?
Do you need some water? I will get you water. I will get you, yes, more water. Yeah, I'll get you the water. Blah, blah, blah. He's just like making it, yeah. You need the papers? Here's the paper.
Just found it today.
Today's edition. Run, So that was my attempt to get my John Rhys-Davies in there. Thank you very much. I got it. Bourne goes in to sign the book, yanks out everything from that day and probably more because they took a big grip of papers out there. Then bullies his way out.
He just pushes everyone out of the way. It's the only moment in this whole movie where I feel like he just kind of roughhouses his way into getting what he wants.
Right, but to his credit, he just dropped $300.
True.
Those papers should belong to him.
Really?
So they get out, apparently not chased by any security at this point.
Yeah, nobody bothers to, hey, we need that shit.
They see Wombosi's on there, and then they find out Wombosi is dead. And then through process of putting clues together, figured out that Bourne is an assassin.
Yeah, so they're literally reading the newspaper, and they're like, oh, I guess I'm an assassin now.
Right. Well, but that's the thing. Was the paper trying to stick that death to Bourne, and now that's why everybody's chasing after him from that point forward?
I don't think so. I think it's more about, the newspaper bit is more about him discovering the
previous assassination attempt.
Yeah, because they went to the hotel.
And it was 3 weeks ago, and that's how they put it together.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, my French isn't even as good as Marie's is. So I was a little confused in that scene.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. The time frame, I suddenly have memories only 3 weeks ago. This guy died 3 weeks ago in the area I was found, or was it almost killed in the area I was found.
Right.
So that's how he 2 and 2s it together to get 4 on that one. Okay, good. Because that part, I'm like, what are they talking about here? He hasn't done anything in his current iteration. How are they making the leap? Now I know.
There you go. And you know what they say about knowing.
Knowing is, in fact, half of Act 3, which you get to take care of now.
Okay, so Act 3. So this is so after they figure out that Bourne's an assassin, this is when the relationship starts to suffer.
A little.
Because it kind of confirms, oh, this guy kills for a living. That's kind of a scary thing, to be involved with a man who kills people for a living.
Yeah, but to be fair, she had to think something like that might be up.
Yeah.
Dude's got a bag full of cash and passports.
This is true, but it seems more sexy when she doesn't know, but he's dangerous.
Yes, that's it. She's got that bad boy intrigue, right?
I can fix him. But now it's like, oh, he kills people all the time. Now this isn't as fun anymore.
Yeah, she's starting to kind of go where Eddie Redmayne's wife in the new Day of the Jackal goes like, oh, it was all fun and games till I found out how you were getting the money.
Right, exactly. So, and they're it's really effective when they're in the cab ride together. and neither one of them's talking to each other.
Right.
They're just riding. And it sort of tells you everything you need to know that shit's about to go down.
Right.
So they're taking the cab back to the hotel, and as they're getting closer, you start seeing the lights from the police cars and stuff, and Bourne's already like, we got to get the hell out of this
cab. We're blown. We're out of here.
Yeah. So he stops the cab. Funny, the cab driver is way too interested in why he wants to stop.
Right.
But he's just like,
well, just down the street.
Take you all the way there. What the hell? You know, like, and then even afterwards, you gave me too much money.
I give you said no cabbie ever.
Yeah, right? That cab driver would take that money and be gone.
Peace out, bro.
Instead, he's like walking around, checking the scene out, talking to the police.
I have to give you your change.
The whole
you stupid American.
So they get out, and then we see the professor outside the hotel just kind of watching the whole thing go down. And he's just kind of watching where everybody's going.
Mm-hmm.
Like, very cool, calm, just like, wait a minute. That guy seems like a cab driver, or he's listening in probably, and he's like, so where was his ride? And he's looking.
Why
and
did they leave? And and should I try and build a radio with a couple of coconuts and a bicycle we somehow built out of bamboo?
That's right. And then the argument ensues between Bourne and Marie, where she's clearly scared, and he's trying to explain to her that, listen, I still don't want any harm to come to you. You can, let me get you out of here first. And then you can go wherever the hell you want,
right?
And you can leave me behind, and that's fine. I just know that if I leave you here, you're dead, because those people from the embassy, they're going to find you and kill you.
Right.
So then we're back in the shabby situation room. And Conklin is losing his shit over the French police making a big scene at the hotel. And so
it is rant. At this point, it's like he is increasing the comedy as he goes through.
Yeah.
At this point, he's just ranting about how stupid the police department is.
Right. Why don't you just put a sign on the front?
Right. It says, "Hey, assassins only."
Right.
Anybody else got any more clever things to say?
Right. And then Abbott comes in. He's pissed off because Conklin's made such a mess of it. But Conklin tries to assert some sort of power in a way, and he's like, well, you're in it with me now too. If they figure this out, like, we're both in hot water.
Right, which is immediately signed his own death warrant by saying that.
Yeah, no shit.
Because you know what? The guy you keep treating like shit over here, Daniel Tosh, he knows how to get a hold of everybody, and he's looking for a lifeline.
That's right. So they now start looking for all the places that Marie has been in the past 6 years or something like anywhere she might have lived or stayed at for any amount of time. And they sort of hone it down to 6 different places on a map. And they try and figure out which one of those places she'd be most likely to go back to. He's like, and you're right, it's like comedy at this point. He's like, beg, borrow, hack, tap, bypass. I don't care what you do. Like trying to just find out anything, which is kind of, again, this is more, maybe without even knowing it, this is setting up format for the future for the future Bourne movies.
Oops.
Oopsie. But it is. It's setting up more tropes almost for the Bourne franchise in a way.
Well, and
without even knowing it. Maybe it's just sort of,
Yeah, but doesn't it really actually does set up tropes for Bond going forward?
Kind of does too.
Do you end up with the Casino Royale's got the little situation-y room deal?
Yeah.
Rory Kinnear fully in his element with computers and whatnot.
Dame Judi Dench.
Yeah, absolutely.
Impress me.
Yes, exactly. So
it's in our open. It's literally in our
literally
open.
right there. And you know what? I don't think it's impressing anybody anymore.
So while this is going on, while Conklin is having his shit show and just trying to find out where Marie's been and all this, we cut to Marie, and she's making a phone call. She's calling somewhere, and I guess that's where she wants to be dropped off at. So she's trying to figure out if somebody's home there or what's going on. And I don't even think she gets a hold of him.
No, because when they go in to the farmhouse.
Yeah, they think that he's gone, and so they think that that's a safe bet to go to. It's like, well, nobody will be there. So,
but who is he?
I've been trying to figure that out. I don't know if he's like a roommate that was a friend or distant relative of some sort.
Former boyfriend, maybe?
I doubt it.
He seemed to have history with her, though.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like she comes and goes
yeah.
often.
I feel like
it felt like it was... If he hadn't been British, I probably would have been a brother, right?
That's what I thought.
Or maybe he was like an ex-brother-in-law or something like that.
Yeah.
And those were her niece and nephew.
That's kind of what it felt like to me. It kind of felt like a relative type situation.
Yeah, because it was somebody that she had either a very good friend or someone that was stuck with her through some other association.
That had to put up with her. Well, because they apparently lived together like 3 months back in 1990, whatever.
And the fact that there's no apparent wife in the situation maybe indicates that that's what her tie to it is.
Right.
Because, wait a minute. I think when they did the rundown on her, they said there was a grandmother that is pretty much where she focuses all of her attention, but that there was also a stepbrother.
So maybe it was a stepbrother.
Maybe he's a stepbrother.
Yeah, I didn't catch what the.
I'm doing a montage in my brain right now, and right now that line is drawn back to that scene, but it's sliding off of Walter Goggins' head a little bit. So I think that's probably what it is.
Okay, I'll take
Let's
your word
go
for
with
it.
it.
Okay, so then we're at the farmhouse. And I love how she's looking for the key under the pot or whatever, and Bourne just busts the door down. That's fine.
Because it's key. Because Bourne is finally embracing who he is.
Yeah.
And taking charge. She's been doing the lead on most of the stuff.
That makes total sense. Yeah, because now he's like, oh, well, I am an assassin, so...
Yeah, I am a badass. I guess it's okay if I start acting like a badass.
Yeah. But of course, as soon as he goes into the house, he sees like lights hanging from the ceiling and the Christmas tree. And he's like, oh shit, what have I done? I really shouldn't have broke that door down. Now I'm an asshole.
And this is a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie. We could have done this in December.
So much better than that garbage we did.
No.
It even had a better James Bond in it.
Oh, boy. So he comes back out, and almost immediately, Eamon, I believe is how it's pronounced.
I'm going to run there right with you. Eamon sounds good.
So Eamon comes home with his 2 kids, and suddenly Marie's like, hi, we didn't know you were still living here. And he's like, what the fuck?
Where else would I be living?
Where else would I be living? That's my house. I own it.
Right.
So they make their way into the house, and Eamon immediately assumes that it's her fault. So it kind of tells you more about what kind of person Marie is.
Right.
And meanwhile, Bourne is out there playing, pushing the kids on the swings and just being a nice guy or whatever. And you just get the vibe that Eamon's a good dude.
Yeah.
He's like, he's annoyed, but he's not going through the roof, even though they just bust his fucking door down.
Right.
But anyway, it comes to nighttime, and at this point in the relationship between Marie and Bourne, Bourne options to sleep on the floor. And then Conklin and Walt, they find a call that was made to the house at one of the locations that they were watching on the map. And so they're like, well, that's definitely it. So we then see Julia Stiles meeting with Clive Owen at a carnival? Sure, it's as good a place as any. I mean, Timothy Dalton found it a fair place to go to. So
true enough. And yet, doesn't she have like an apartment full of really complex communications equipment? Why does it have to be a manual operation?
I know. Wouldn't just a text message do?
It's almost like Lyman had... Okay, so every 32 and a half minutes we see Julia Stiles because that's how I want it.
Because it's Julia Stiles.
Right.
Maybe it was written into her contract. Maybe that was the one caveat. It's like, listen, I know I'm in here minimally, but I must be on screen for this many seconds.
Well, as we said before, she clearly is doing this to get into the next film.
Right.
Because there's more meat and potatoes to that.
Sure.
So maybe Lyman's intent was we need to have her in here enough that she's not a surprise if we make a sequel.
Yeah.
We've established who her character is. Everybody will know who she is when she gets in there, so we don't have to ramp the whole thing up again.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't know. It's not like I don't want to look at her on the screen.
Well,
but
no.
But she also could have looked at her on the screen talking on a phone.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So I don't know.
So Julia Stiles meets with Clive Owen at a carnival. to give him his marching orders, which is, this is where Bourne is, go kill him. So then we cut to nighttime, middle of the night at the farmhouse, and Marie realizes that Bourne's not in the bedroom, and she goes looking for him. She finds him in the kid's bedroom, and he's just looking over the kids. And I actually really like this scene because, again, it points back to what I mentioned before about how he's at this new point in his life where he doesn't know what he used to do entirely.
Right.
He doesn't know what he's supposed to be doing. He doesn't know who's good, who's bad. He doesn't know he's trying to sort out what he really actually wants.
Right.
And he's looking at the kids and he's going, I don't know if I want to do what I did before.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the life for me. Like, look at these kids. Like, I want to protect these kids. I don't know if I want to just go kill people all the time.
Right.
So I just think, again, the fact that they had to fight for this whole area of the movie was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely justified.
Yeah.
Because it's the turning point for both the characters, both the main characters.
Yeah.
In terms of how they're going to perceive things. Granted, she disappears for the last act until the end.
Yeah.
But there's resolution between the two of them that's driven by the fact that Bourne can now operate on his own, Aegeus, without her being there.
Right.
But in the process of saying you can do a good thing, you still kind of get the impression, but he isn't done with her. I'm glad they don't say, I'll come find you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that would have been
Way
too movie tropey.
Yeah.
It was like there was a clean break, but now he's like, at the end, he decides, but now I'm free, which I'm not. But now I'm free, so I can go back to the hot German who owns a scooter shop.
Right.
But
right.
Yes, all of it is good. It's Jason Bourne going from being the I don't know to I really don't know, but I do know what I'm capable of, and then demonstrating that. But as a force for good rather than as a force for whoever wants him to do it.
Right, just a mindless weapon.
Yes.
So the next morning, we've got breakfast with Eamon. He's in his robe. Again, he's a good guy.
Sure. You made coffee unexpected. Oh, you're leaving. Also unexpected.
Yeah, that was a great line from him. And then the kids run in and they can't find the dog. And immediately Bourne's spidey senses kick in. He's like, does this happen all the time?
Well, then in his line, he's like, are you kidding? That dog missing breakfast?
Yeah.
Unbelievable, right?
Yeah. And so immediately he's like, all of you need to get in the basement. Take the kids, get in the basement right now. And Eamon's very, very upset, but he also knows when to move. And he moves his kids immediately into the basement. I thought it was funny, too, how Marie starts talking in German because she's so flustered.
Yeah, saying
that she
shit,
goes
shit
back.
in German.
Yeah.
Shit, scheiße, scheiße.
And they try the phone line. The phone line's cut. Hey, remember landlines, kids? So that's when Bourne starts looking around for how can he deal with this situation. He finds some shotgun shells in a drawer, which means there must be a shotgun somewhere in the house.
And then uses what would a dad do logic.
Yeah, look at the wall, look at the ceiling, look
goes
for
up
high
to the
places.
armoire,
Yeah.
pulls out. Yep, there's a shotgun.
That's where he'd keep it, somewhere high where the kids can't get it.
Exactly.
So gets the shotgun and then goes hunting for professors. But it's so cool. Like it's so, like you said earlier, it's so cinematic when he just walks out there and he sees the gas tank or whatever. He's like, I need a distraction. I need to get his attention and draw him away from the house.
Right.
So he blows up the gas tank and.
Well, and I love how while he's in there, he's almost robotic in his movements. Yeah. There's literally a scene where he stops and NPC characters a left turn, where he's just kind of like dooka, and then turns left. But the walking, then when he knows he's probably got him, the speed, tappity running, and then all of it just is very like beep boop. This is how I was programmed to respond, kind of thing. Also, there's the little moment before he walks out where he pops open the shotgun and checks the barrel.
Yeah.
To make sure that it's straight and it's going to do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
Before he loads it up. But the only thing it's had to be a choice, but it would have been fun to get the kind of shotgun that just pops the shells out when it comes through. Yeah. But but they did it intentionally for him to open and then meticulously take it out and reload again.
And just knowing that he's going to be able to reload before the professor can grab his gun or whatever.
Right. Although there was the one scene that baffled me a little bit when he goes out and sees the field before he shoots the gun to set the birds flying.
Yeah.
I'm like, the dude's got a sniper rifle, and you're just going to stand there, no brush, no cover. I'm like, where was the professor not just taking that shot?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, I missed a little bit of logic in that.
It's a little too easy for him to get the other upper hand, but
Well,
I'll
yeah,
allow it.
But I mean, the end of the day, the whole thing of blowing up the tank was to draw him out of wherever he was hiding,
Right.
to get him at a more level playing field.
Yeah.
Still, are you going to want to hide in plain daylight when there's a bunch of places for this dude to hide, still with a high-power sniper rifle, mind you?
Right.
But again, I'll allow it. I'll allow it because it was so cool how he goes in and shoots him once and doesn't kill him and has to get in closer. Because a shotgun at that distance, it's enough to give somebody an intention, but it's not going to do the job.
Right.
And then it's like, yeah, I'm going to give you both barrels now. Pow! Down you go. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, Professor.
But maybe the best part, I mean, the whole cat and mouse thing is good, but I almost like the discussion even more.
Absolutely.
Like when he gets there, because that's when they start planting the seeds for a sequel.
Right.
When they start, they lead you into learning about what's going on. Like these guys are the same, more or less.
The whole thing about, you get the headaches too?
Yeah. The whole, you get the headaches and look at what they make you give. Right. That line and just the professor makes it very obvious that they're in the same program and that, he's just doing what he has to do because if he doesn't do it, they're just going to come after him.
Right.
It's just interesting to see them together and see how similar, but
to get the perspective from somebody who knows the whole story as opposed to somebody that is picking the story up as he goes along.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there's that immediate relationship because now Bourne's like, I am. It's a confirmation for Bourne that is what I am. Because this guy literally, if I had not been smarter than him, would have taken me out. And now I'm probably the kind of guy that would have taken him out if the situation was reversed.
Right.
But it also demonstrates to him that, I am a motherfucking badass. And so maybe I just need to go get the answers myself.
Well, and also, am I part of an experiment?
Right? Is there something more to it?
Yeah,
What's driving me?
Yeah, the headaches thing and everything. So then he dies. And so then immediately after that, we see Marie leave with Eamon and the kids, although there is that great moment right beforehand where she kind of alludes to, don't you want me to stick around? She kind of... And she's almost mad at him that he doesn't want her to stick around at this point. And that he's pushing her away at this point because she sort of learned so much from the night before when he's looking at the kids and saying what he said. She's like, oh, maybe this guy has potential. He's not just a...
Well, because he asks her, is that something that you could do? Could you basically...
Oh, that's right, he does.
Could you basically forget that I am that and just love me for who I actually am now?
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't know.
That's right. I forgot about that line.
She didn't say, I don't think so. She says, I don't know. And obviously, as thinking about it, she knows that, I mean, having a guy that could kill people that I don't really like could be an advantage for someone like me. Yeah. And you're kind of cute. So sure, I could go along with it.
But yeah, he kind of shows her tough love more or less and gives her most of his money and then pushes her in the car and off.
So it's enough for you to build a life. Go do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to end it.
So then we see Bourne go back in the house and he uses the professor's phone to call Conklin.
One moment, please.
Yeah.
CIA station advisor, just a moment.
We need to get everyone on the line first.
Well, and I love how Conklin picks up the phone to do it individually while his guy's on the other end. And then Brian Cox is like, yeah, no. After he dismisses everybody in there, he's all like, and speakerphone.
Yeah. I'm going to hear this. Thank
you
very much.
We're not dialing this bullshit anymore, Conklin.
Yeah. So they set up a meeting basically in this conversation, and it's all sort of on Bourne's terms. And he says, "Meet me in Paris on the Pont de Neuf
at 5."
At 5.
So
nobody else there.
I'm doing the math on this. So I'm assuming they're still at Langley when he gets this call. He's telling me he needs to be there at 5 o'clock Paris time. I'm assuming it's 5 o'clock Paris time. It's the winter, so it would be dark if it was later than that. He's in Washington, D.C., or close to it. He's in Langley, Virginia. Now, I think...
Yeah, I see where you're going.
How many hours does it take to fly to England from New York?
It's a lot. It's like It's like 8 hours, I
right?
think.
And then another hour and a half to get to Paris, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's like 12 hours. That's like 11.
So let's call it 10 hours.
Yeah.
It's 10 hours. So, and Bourne's in the same time zone. So he's thinking 5 o'clock his time. Take him nothing to get from where he's at, right?
Right.
I feel like the 5 o'clock number is a little misleading.
It's a little.
I feel like they had to be at Langley at 4 a.m. for this to get pulled off in the time frame that he was at.
So if they've just literally been working around the clock, are you really?
And he did say we're sleeping here to get it taken care of.
That's true.
But I don't know. My brain's just going, I mean, I've never flown to Europe, but I do know like Britain's like 8 hours ahead of our time zone.
Right.
Right. And Germany's 8 hours ahead of our time zone. So I'm assuming France is 8 hours ahead of our time zone.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the math.
Yeah.
I'm doing the math. So they got some really fast CIA jets, I'm guessing.
Apparently so.
Was the Concorde still flying back then? I can't remember.
It's either that or it's 5 p.m. the next day. But
right. And it seemed kind of light for 5 p.m. I'm just saying.
I mean, unless it's in the... Well, it couldn't have been the summertime because there was a Christmas tree.
And it's snowing. So...
All right.
I just had to point that little potential inaccuracy out there.
Okay.
I'll let you continue with the narrative already in progress.
All right. I appreciate that. So this is going to sound kind of silly, but there is this shot of Bourne as he's walking to the Pont Neuf, as the sun is getting lower in the sky, and there's actual lens flare going on, not manufactured.
Not J.J. Abrams lens flare.
How did you call it? J.J. Abrams?
J.J. Abrams.
J.J. Abrams.
Not J.J. Abrams lens flare.
I need to start employing J.J. Abrams all the time. J.J. Abrams. But it's actual lens flare. I just thought that was a really great shot.
It is a nice shot.
It's just a nice shot. So, also because the light was kind of weird. It was like pre-golden hour, but not actual golden hour yet. It was weird. It was weird lighting, but cool nonetheless. So anyway, Bourne gets up top of this building, way up top with like a sniper scope or whatever to watch what's going on down below on the actual bridge. And of course, Conklin shows up with a whole team.
Well, and that was really the whole intent. He wasn't there to meet Conklin. He was there to track where Conklin was.
Yeah, he probably knew.
Well, he knew he wasn't going to show up by himself.
Yeah, he knew that like they were gonna follow the book, and he was just gonna, okay, this is what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna track them.
Right.
So yeah, he comes out there. He takes off his jacket like he's supposed to, and the phone rings, and he's like, "Nah, sorry, dude."
Well, then there's the worst line in the movie. He's like, "I told you to come by yourself. Guess what? Now this is what's happening," or something stupid like that. It is. Click. Like, I'm just gonna be catty now. So guess what? You blew your chance, Mister. Click. And
it is a
very
little
deciduous.
Yeah, a little.
But that's what he says. He says
a little outside of character.
Didn't follow the rules. Now we're going to do it my way. Click, kind of thing. But it was just so catty.
Yeah,
such a sassy hang up on the phone.
So yeah, there's like he puts a tracker on the van, and then we see Mannheim, the other assassin. He gets a phone call, and then meanwhile we see Julia Stiles. She gets a call from Conklin to start closing up the safe house. I guess they're trying to just sort of wipe their hands of this whole thing.
Well, he's afraid Bourne is... I think he thinks Bourne's going to show up because he didn't seem very surprised when he does show up.
That is true.
But he's shutting down the whole operation because Bourne could probably...
decipher. He's trying to...
He could blow the whole thing anyway, so he might as well get rid of the evidence.
Right, exactly. So they're shredding documents at the safe house, and Bourne follows the tracker there. And I can only assume the professor's nice BMW.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So then Bourne uses one device that I found kind of interesting. Maybe you know something more than I do about this.
Well, he got it out of the professor's pack.
Yeah, it was part of the professor's little Treadstone official member kit, you know?
The official Treadstone assassin supplement kit.
That's right. But whatever it is, he was able to set off all of the car alarms on the block all at once, which sends the two goons that are out front of the safe house. They go check that out, and while they check that out, then Bourne goes up the water spout.
Well, when the first time I watched it, I didn't even catch the little box. I thought Bourne had parked the red car, the opposite direction.
Oh, and then he hit one of them to set them all off or something?
Because they're all motion sensors.
Yeah.
So if one of them was loud enough to set off the other ones or something, but then I realized he was using the box. And I mean, that's how you if you have the panic button on the remote, that's how you do it. It's all radio frequency.
Yeah.
So the fact that all of those cars were on the same radio frequency was a little weird, but I would have liked to see it go bleep, 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 blop, 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 where he was like hitting one at a time.
Yeah.
But for brevity's sake, I get it.
Sure. So up climbs Bourne while they're all checking out the cars.
Spider-Born does whatever a Spider-Born can.
That's right. And in the meantime, inside, the security system starts going haywire, and then the phone's out, and then the lights go out. So at that point, I just think it's funny. At this point, Conklin has, like you said earlier, he's been ratcheting up his level of like almost comic level bad agent.
Yes.
Just like incompetent. And now he feels so incompetent. He feels like the principal from the Breakfast Club.
It really does.
Or the same actor who was in Die Hard.
Paul Gleason.
In
Guess
Die
we're gonna
Hard.
need a couple more FBI guys.
Yeah. Like he feels like that now when he's like stalking around. I'm like, well, you're not going to stop Bourne, dude.
No.
So,
Bender's got your number, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. But then, in comes Bourne. He, disarms. Well, he doesn't really disarm. He just says to drop the weapon or whatever. And they have this talk, and Conklin's like, what's your damage, soldier? And just like really trying to take control of the conversation. And in the meantime, Bourne's just trying to figure out what's going on. Like,
exactly.
What happened? What mission was he on? Who was he before all this went down? And he's like, you're a malfunctioning $30 million weapon, and I sent you because you're invisible. I send you because you don't exist, stuff like that.
Right.
And so he starts, it doesn't really help Bourne learn too much more, but he does learn that basically he probably reported to this guy at some point.
Right. He starts having a flashback to the actual shooting that he didn't do.
That's right. So
to where he's got the gun to Wombasi's head, and as he's getting ready to kill him, he sees Wombasi's kid that's cuddling with him, and then he sees another kid. And thank God they didn't do all the kids, because that scene would have been like 3 minutes long.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Because Conklin says, you pick the yacht as a strike point. And that the fact that when he said that, that's when suddenly
everything started popping.
Yeah.
And full credit to Matt Damon's acting ability. His actual Jason Bourne face made him look completely different than the Jason Bourne we'd been looking at. That was cold, calculating, killer Jason Bourne, that face that he was putting out there.
100%.
And then they kept cutting back to that, his face and then the current Bourne face. It was like two different dudes. It was like they got Jesse Plemons to play to play Bad Bourne. And
Evil Bourne on the boat.
TV level Matt Damon.
But nonetheless, he still, even when he was Evil Bourne, he wasn't completely Evil Bourne because he saw the kids.
Yeah.
Don't shoot.
But
there's a bunch of kids in here.
That ties back to Eamon's kids. I think that was like he would have been programmed to not care about kids. And so that was a mark on him when he was seeing the kids. He was making a connection that he couldn't quite attach to where it was.
Right.
Which I think, if from what you said from the original story in the book, there was something in the original script that tied back to his own kids being killed.
Sure.
And that's what made him pause. Because all I'm getting is that all of a sudden he was finally put in a situation where kids might have to be eliminated, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
He couldn't maybe it was something he couldn't kill the kid's dad in front of them because his wife was killed in front of the kids before the kids died.
Right.
I mean, I could extrapolate a lot of backstory there.
Yeah. But
at the end of the day, that was the thing that set him off.
Yeah. Well, and then immediately after he finally breaks from the flashback, the first thing he says is, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, Jason Bourne is dead.
Yep.
And of course, Conklin's like, well, that's not how this works, that sort of thing. And then he knocks out Conklin.
And then he beats the shit out of him.
Which is great. When he knocks out Conklin.
Nobody deserved it more.
No, nobody deserved it more. Holy cow.
Even for just the level of acting, you deserve to get your ass beat.
Yeah. So, but right before he knocks him out, I forgot to mention that there's like a little danger beeper thing on his belt.
Yeah, Bourne sees that it's basically been monitoring. Somebody's been monitoring because it looked like a walkie-talkie.
Yeah. So he knows that people are coming to get him right now. And it's interesting too. Julia Stiles does nothing. She just watches the whole thing because she probably can't do anything.
What is she going to do against a Treadstone agent?
Exactly. And I don't think she's armed either.
Well, she wasn't because he asked where her bug out bag was.
Right.
And he took the gun out of the bug out bag.
Yeah.
I love his line about, though, I don't need an assassin. I could have gotten Nikki to kill him if that's what I wanted.
Oh, that's
and
right.
her face was like, you motherfucker.
I know. No one deserved to get knocked out more. And quite frankly,
no one deserved to get conked more than Conklin.
I digress. So
please.
So then he starts slowly getting towards the door, and he knows that there's somebody right behind the door, and he opens up the door and he starts fighting with the guy that's right there, disarms the guy, takes the guy's gun, but has it upside down because of the nature of the fight. And the guys in the stairwell start shooting, and we get our very first "Who is far?" moment.
First and only.
No, there's two.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's that. So he's shooting with one gun right side up and another one that's upside down.
Left-handed, so not a dominant hand, no less.
Yeah. So see, what I think is the second moment is the guy that he just killed that's up there with him.
Yeah, leaning up against the wreck of the banister.
Yeah, he keeps kicking at him and kicking at him and kicking at him until he times it, waiting for the other guys to reload or whatever. And he pushes the dead guy off the 6th floor of this. I counted, by the way.
Yes.
I literally paused and I'm like, how many floors is this? It's 6.
Yep.
So he
surfs him all the way down.
Surfs him all the way up, and halfway through shoots the guy in the head. And for me, who is far?
Okay, that's fair, but I just considered the whole thing to be one entire woo as fuck moment.
Okay,
because
so we'll just label this entire scene as who is far?
Exactly.
So he flies after shooting the guy halfway down his fall. He lands, he uses the dead guy as a crash pad, which again, would that work? Probably. I bet it would.
Well, yeah, the dude's all that meat bag is gonna absorb all that kinetic energy, and you're just gonna land on something reasonably soft.
Well, listen, I've skateboarded long enough to know how far down you can ollie and have the skateboard absorb most of the energy.
Sure.
So,
and that was a big dude.
It's a big dude. It was a big dude.
You know, the best part about that was how he didn't write him down directly. He literally landed on top of the guy after the guy hit the ground because he was.
Yeah, it was like a thud.
Yeah, because he left a second after the other guy, so he was holding onto his collar, but he wasn't like riding him with his arms around like they were parachuting. So the guy hits the ground, then Bourne hits him. They don't hit at the same time.
Exactly. It almost looked like he pushed him away just a little bit to land ahead of time.
Which would have made sense because he was dissipating his own energy off onto the guy before he gets in there. Then he drops off and rolls. I'm like, he had to bust an ankle there at the very least.
Also, God, I know we had a discussion about this outside of this podcast, but I swear to God there was something like this in a Batman movie. I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not.
I still think you're thinking of the Dark Knight when they fall down and hit the car with Rachel when Joker kicks her out of the window.
All I know is it's a cool scene.
It's totally a cool scene.
And for something that's that woo as fuck, it's a cool scene. It's not even like roll your eyes. It's actually like, okay, that's kind of cool.
I know what you're thinking of. In the original Batman Begins, when he's in the building and the cops are coming after him and he brings the bats in, he does rope up a guy, and I think he rides that guy up on the bat line.
Maybe that's what it is.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Batman.
It was a stairwell thing.
Yeah, and there's a stairwell in that
where
he's trying to fight his way out. So I don't know if he rides the guy down or up, but I definitely think he does do that.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. So then, this is a really cool idea too. I don't know who came up with this, whether it was Gilroy or Lyman, but I love this final moment where Bourne and Conklin both leave the safe house at about the same moment,
dressed kind of the same way, and they're both walking with a limp, and the guys, and all you see is the silhouette, so you don't know which one it is walking towards Mannheim, and finally, you realize it's Conklin, and Mannheim shoots him. Right,
and that's a great moment.
And in a perfect assassination shooting. Poof, poof, poof.
Yeah.
2 in the chest, 1 in the head. Boom. Classic 3-point.
Yeah. So from there, we get something which kind of reminded me of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. We see Abbott in what looks like a congressional meeting.
Yep.
And he's talking about how they shut down Treadstone. It wasn't working. It was
more like a war game kind of situation. Once you realize that the cost to effectiveness ratio wasn't going to blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah. And then he starts talking about how great Blackbriar is going to be. And he's just rambling on, and it fades into this aerial shot of the ocean, and his words trail away. And then we're in Mykonos. I did like Mykonos. Yeah. And then we see Marie in Mykonos, and apparently she's, again, able to cross borders. You know, nobody flagged her passport or it was fine. She just went to Greece. No big deal.
Well, I've heard a lot about the security of Greece. So.
There you go. And it's 2002. That was like almost, 20 years ago. So, but now she operates a scooter rental / coffee shop. I don't know. There was it looked like there was almost a bar inside or something.
Yeah,
anyway, very nice place because she was there on the coast.
But she was talking about that's where they had a surf shop where she was at last. Where she lost all her money. So that's clearly something she wanted to do. So with her bag full of monies, that's now a flower pot, she just built herself a shop somewhere else.
Yeah, literally right on the water.
So I'm sure business is booming.
Business is booming right there in Mykonos, party town. So she's there and she's just, doing her thing, renting scooters and what have you. And then in walks Bourne. Yeah,
but see, you had to point out, he did the sneaky Bourne disappearing, reappearing trick.
He did.
Because she walks past the doorway, and then when she comes back, there's Bourne.
Yes.
I'm a ninja.
And then they embrace and all is well. And
Moby.
They live happily ever after until the next movie.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. And that's the movie. Cue Moby,
I can't even do it, but that's a song, so that's what it is.
But yeah, that's the movie. Here's the thing that I was going to say earlier, but I held my tongue until now. This movie, the amount of influence that this movie has cannot be understated. Watching it, I literally was Leo DiCaprio pointing at the screen going, I saw that in that movie. Yep. And I saw that in that movie. This movie is so influential because this came out before any of that other stuff came out that it influenced.
Yeah.
Like all of the Daniel Craig Bond movies, Mission Impossible, just action movie making in general, the editing in the movie, it's crazy. It's crazy. And so many people do it so wrong too. Because, I was talking about other franchises that tried to imitate Bourne with the fast cutty editing style.
Right.
If you've ever seen the Taken sequels,
no,
they are so bad. There is one, I can't remember, I want to say it's Taken 3, where he's climbing over a fence and they repeat the same shots. Oh, I've never seen anyone take so long to climb over a fence than in Taken 3. Jesus Christ. Get on with it. They showed him going over the fence from every angle, and they were trying to go after that Bourne style, but not understanding conceptually what it is that they actually did.
The director saw a shot he wanted. I want to do it just like this.
Yeah.
And then put his own English on it, not understanding the true context of what the shot was in the first place.
Not understanding what was being accomplished in the actual Bourne film. But yeah, you've almost talked about as well is about how, the fact that this is a spy that you get to really get inside his head and understand where he's coming from. Maybe I don't even want to do this anymore now that I know that I'm an assassin. Is this really the life for me?
Is Jason Bourne the Dante Hicks of spies? He's I don't even want to be here today.
I mean, I can relate. But yeah, for a movie that came out in 2002 and I've seen many times, although I haven't sat down and watched this movie in probably 10 years, but man, I feel like it holds up.
It absolutely does. And I think the last time I watched this Well, I know I watched it once with my wife, so it's probably been about 20 years since the last time I watched this with it in earnest, because I'm a bigger fan of 3 than I am of the rest of them.
I watch 3 all the time.
Because it's an awesome movie.
It really is.
But again, I love that it feels like it's an older movie than it actually is, but with modern sensibilities, which is something that I think there's a lot of homages going out there. Like I said, the Russo brothers do it, things of that nature. But it's so caught up in the glitz of being a Hollywood movie now that it doesn't always translate well. Yeah. Winter Soldier was great because at its core, it was a 70s spy thriller.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, it's a Marvel movie, so you know what you're getting into it.
Yeah.
But the parts that were thrillery were very thrillery, right? You didn't get to the big shit until helicarriers start crashing. This movie just felt grounded from the minute it started and never got to a level of Hollywood goofiness that I think ruins is a bad word, defines what that kind of movie is now.
Yeah.
Right? Like
even the very end, even the surfing the dead guy down 6 flights of steps didn't feel so over the top that I'm like, okay, now, it didn't take you out of it.
Because he lands on the ground.
It's plausible.
Yeah, exactly. He lands on the ground. He's hurt. He's stunned. He's bleeding.
Yeah.
He did it, but he wasn't like, Tommy Boy dusting himself off,
right,
changing his jacket to whatever,
and then going into a full sprint,
right? And running for 10 miles. He's limping. So I do believe that the movies started to inch into the more Hollywoody stuff as they went along.
I'm sure they felt a little bit of pressure to, this time we got to up the ante, and this time we got to up the ante again. And
by the time you get to Jason Bourne, there's been 3 more Mission Impossibles.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe 4, 2 Bonds, right? Mm-hmm. So you're now having to play catch up to what you started at that point.
Yeah. And
I think Jason Bourne is about the end of that story. And so I don't think that one actually had as much as like 3 did, and certainly not the Renner version.
Yeah.
Which was basically, what if Hawkeye worked for Treadstone? But we're going to not have the bow and arrow.
They've had a really hard time resurrecting the Bourne franchise as of late, at least everything that I've seen in my intel.
Well, I think that where do you go with it? Every agent is a super agent now. They're not programmed, but they're all Ethan Hunt now.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you do it? I think you adapt the actual book, put it in its place in this 1980. I don't know. I feel like everybody that listens to this podcast thinks Jason's a fucking broken record. But we just make stuff when it came out. Why do we have to keep making it modern anymore? We're so far away from all of the source material now. Hell, even that book, the original book came out 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? So not even talking about Bond. Why can't we just make shit in the Cold War when it all makes sense?
Yeah. I think it does stand to reason that just about any movie, actually, come to think of it, that is based off source material. Once you run out of source material, you got to kind of back up and punt. And
yeah. Well, and I mean, the role of spies first of all, the roles of assassins, I think, are always overly inflated over what actually happens.
Sure.
Yeah. There's no Martin Blanks running around, pining for
Mini Driver,
and wanting to go back home again. That part, the assassin thing always makes me I don't think it's that great. But spies are such a thing that aren't a thing as much as they used to be anymore.
Right.
And so why not frame all of your stories that were created when spies were a thing in a time when spies were a thing?
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about pretense.
Right. Then you have a universe where the rules are in place to make it works then.
Exactly.
If you try and apply the rules now to a character that was developed when the rules were much different.
Mm-hmm. That's why you get people like, does Bond have to be such a misogynist? Well, he shouldn't be now, because he's
right.
The current character would have grown up in a world where that was less acceptable.
Right.
But does Bond need to have that some level of misogyny? Yeah, because that's what the character is.
Right.
So put him back when it's still uncomfortable for people now, but then it's James Bond as Don Draper, and you understand that that's just the way it is. And
right.
He is an asshole.
Right.
But he's still the good guy. He's still the protagonist. He's just not a very good guy.
Right. As far as this movie goes, it's fantastic.
It's fantastic. I love this movie. It's maybe the first one we've watched in a while that I'm like, yeah, I'll watch this again.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought all the Bournes when they were on sale digitally because I knew this was coming.
Right.
But I also knew that at least 2 of them I was going to watch anyway, and it was worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
but I'm very excited. I had to hold myself back from watching the next one.
I did too. As soon as I finished my second round of watching the film, I immediately was like, I'm going to go get the next Blu-ray, because I also, in anticipation of doing all these, I went out and got a special on Blu-ray for all of them. And
there you go.
Came with all sorts of fun shit. So anyway, but yeah, it's fantastic. Totally worth another watch. I mean, I would probably watch this movie again at some point down the line.
Oh, I absolutely will.
Yeah.
Definitely the next time I feel like I need to be born again, I'll start watching them all back in order again.
But what do you, dear tens of listeners, what do you think of the original The Bourne Identity? You should let us know. Because if there's one thing that we're always on your case about, it's listener interaction. So please, tell us what you thought of the original Bourne Identity, what you didn't like, or what you thought of our analysis of the movie was. Or if you just want to say hi. I want to hear it all.
If you want to say hi, suggest a movie, tell us we're great, tell us we suck.
Give us a delicious recipe for turkey pot pie or something.
But not porridge.
Not porridge. Never porridge.
Never porridge. You will be blacklisted.
Excommunicado.
Jonathan.
But yes, you can reach us at email at cicdeaddrop@gmail.com. On Instagram, it's Central Intelligence Cinema, separated by underscores. And there are a whole bunch of other social medias with links. You can find all of them at the bottom of the show description of every episode that we release. So get in touch. Let us know what you thought. We want to hear from you. But any last thoughts, or should we just get out of here?
Let's just get out of here.
All right. I'll just forget this whole thing ever happened. Almost like I got shot in the back.
But yeah, how did get shot in the back make you lose your memory?
Well, let's not.
I guess you can't remember, can you?
Well, with that, I'm Ben.
And I'm Jason.
And the CIC will return with more missions, more martinis,
and more mayhem.